Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto finds out Sarutobi lied council bashing. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by ITACHIFREAK8271 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto, you fail. Said Iruka as he saw the pathetic clone Naruto made. Iruka, said Mizuki trying to reason with his fellow instructor, but inside he had a sinister smile, because now his plan could be carried out. This is his third attempt, and this time he actually made a clone. I think we should let him graduate. Mizuki and Iruka then looked at the expectant Naruto. With a sigh, the Chunin shook his head. Impossible, said Iruka. Mizuki, everyone else made at least 2 clones, and Naruto only created 1, and it was useless. We can't let him pass. Naruto looked at Iruka with a face that reflected betrayal and anger. The aspiring shinobi lowered his head again and began to leave the room, again experiencing failure. Damn it. Why did it have to be the Bunshin no Jutsu again? Naruto raged as he stormed down the halls. That damn jutsu never works in battle. I'm the only one who didn't pass the damn test. If it was a fight I would have won. Naruto stalked into the courtyard of the academy. He sat on the swing sulking and looked towards the entrance of the academy where the Chunin began greeting the parents of students who passed the exam. Meanwhile, in the halls of the academy, Iruka began his speech by congratulating the new graduates. Finishing with the instruction that the new genin should be enjoying the next 3 weeks of vacation because once they enter active duty as a shinobi of Konoha, free time will be very limited. About 30 minutes later, Naruto, still sitting on the swing, saw the newly promoted genin. The children left the academy with their heads up, proudly showing their hit I-8 with the symbol of the leaf. Naruto watched sadly as their parents embraced and congratulated their children. Naruto imagined what it would be like in their place even for a few minutes. Unable to endure the hardship, the young blonde, the only student who failed the test, left quietly, sure that no one noticed him. Iruka, I wish to speak with you, said the Sandaime, exhaling the smoke from his pipe, and then left. Hi. Hokage-sama, Iruka said with a nod before glancing toward the empty swing, slowly swaying in the wind before making his way to the Hokage's office. As the Sandaime and Iruka were having a serious discussion about Naruto, the young blonde was wandering through the streets of Konoha. He had his hands in his pockets, ignoring the looks of resentment from adult population. He was used to the looks, but that didn't make it any easier to bear. Today he just wasn't in the mood to pay attention to the idiots of Konoha who looked at him like that every day. His mind was occupied by his recent failure to become a ninja, and that once again he would have to endure another year of boring lectures at the academy. It wouldn't be so bad if most of the teachers didn't ignore him whenever he asked for help in Tire Ninjutsu. He walked for a while on autopilot before he heard a familiar voice calling his name, pulling him from his thoughts. Oh, hey Mizuki-sensei, Naruto said as he turned around to see Mizuki just a few feet away smiling at him. Naruto, come with me so we can have a nice talk, Mizuki said with a smile. Naruto looked puzzled for a few seconds and decided to follow his teacher. After several minutes of walking, Mizuki and Naruto came to a cliff which overlooked many buildings in Konoha, and they sat watching the streets and people of the village. Naruto, said Mizuki after a few moments. You shouldn't get mad at Iruka. He smiled at Naruto's look, he just wants to see you become a strong shinobi in the right way. He has high hopes for you, Naruto. You do know you're one of his favorite students, right? Naruto blinked up at Mizuki. I am? Yeah, he says it all the time in the teacher's lounge. Naruto lowered his head, happiness bubbling up inside. Iruka considered him one of his favorite students. Naruto, he also grew up without parents. He knows how hard that is. When he looks at you, it's like looking at himself when he was younger. Naruto sighed and looked towards the horizon with his eyes focused and full of determination. I wish I could have graduated, said Naruto. Then Iruka-sensei would be proud of me. Well, in that case let me tell you a little secret, said Mizuki, smiling devilishly. It was nighttime in Konoha and the streets were virtually deserted. Only shinobi patrolling in the village and people in various bars and night entertainment spots were out in the dimly lit streets. Naruto ran quietly in the shadows around the buildings and dark alleys of the village, leading him towards the Hokage mansion, residence of the Sandaime and his family. When the building came into his field of vision, Naruto dove to the ground so he wouldn't alert the Anbu squad patrolling the area. Quietly, Naruto observed the Anbu patrolling the mansion and its immediate surroundings in a complex pattern that few people would recognize. Fortunately, he was one of the few people who could do it. After years of watching the patrols of Anbu, Jonin, and Chunin for his pranks, Naruto knew almost every type of patrol variation the Leaf Shinobi used. He knew where they were going to be and how long they were going to stay in each position. Naruto remained hidden, watching quietly for several minutes. When the opening and the patrols arrived, Naruto quickly slipped into the Hokage's mansion, unaware of the shadowy figure watching him from the roof of a nearby building. "I admit the Kyuubi brat knows his stuff," thought Mizuki, watching Naruto enter the mansion. 4 Anbu squads, and a kid in an orange suit gets past them, doing things most jonin have problems with. He's young, but his knowledge in infiltration is amazing. Too bad for him that today is his last. Inside the mansion, Naruto was stalking down corridors as quietly as he could until he reached a room with open scrolls hanging on the walls, written with different kanji. Remains the highlight being the large parchment kanji, the Will of Fire. The flagship of Konoha that the Shodaime himself created by preaching the desire to protect the village and the people who inhabit it. I don't understand the purpose of this part. Naruto pulled out a small paper from his pocket with directions to the library where the scroll was located. Unknown to Naruto, the Hokage had been following him. He coughed, alerting the blonde to his presence. Naruto turned slowly, his surprise at being caught, mixing with excitement for what could happen after being captured. "Naruto, what are you doing in my home at a time like this?" Naruto started to sweat profusely, trying to respond to Sandaime while looking for a solution to escape. "Warak no Jutsu," Naruto shouted. He became very voluptuous and naked teenage blonde girl, her hair in 2 pigtails with smoke flowing in her most intimate parts. The Sandaime had no chance against such a devastating technique. Just a few seconds after the transformation, the Sandaime fell to the ground unconscious, bleeding profusely from the nose. "Irojiji," Naruto muttered, smiling as he headed to his target. A few moments later he walked into the Hokage's personal library. He began sifting through the various scrolls until he found his target, the Scroll of Forbidden Seals. Satisfied that he had the right scroll, Naruto stood and began to make his escape from the mansion when an object caught his eye. He went to the shelf which held a scroll slightly smaller than the one he had. The scroll was closed with a spiral clasp, the same symbol on the back of the clothes that Sandaime sends him. Seeing the symbol on the scroll, Naruto remembered the day when he asked Sandaime about the symbol. Flashback. The small Naruto, being just 8 years old, opened one of the many gifts that Jiji brought him for his birthday. Naruto unwrapped the box with a big smile on his face. After tearing through the wrapping, he found a box containing a black jacket with a blue spiral etched on the back. "Hey Jiji, why do all the clothes you give me have that weird spiral?" Naruto asked. The Sandaime smiled and ruffled his hair as he grumbled at the gesture. "All I can tell you, Naruto-kun, is that this symbol represents you, and more important, it is where you come from, Naruto," said the Sandaime. "I promise that once you are older, I will tell you everything, Naruto." Little Naruto frowned, not understanding much of what Jiji was talking about. "When will that be, Jiji?" "When you mature enough not to make stupid decisions, which should be when you turn 15 years old or when you are a chunin." "But Jiji, that's forever." "Don't worry, Naruto-kun," said the Sandaime as he smiled at the naivety of the young. "It will be over soon. And it'll mean you're closer to being Hokage. You know you want to take my hat." "You bet, Jiji," Naruto said, standing up and showing his fist to the Sandaime Hokage. "I will take that hat away and then I'll send you to a retirement home and you will be able to read that filthy orange book you like all day long." "Ahahaha, I eagerly await that day, Naruto-kun," said the Sandaime. "And now open the gift of Nico-chan and then Inu-san." "Yeah," said Naruto as he smiled before taking a big present wrapped in orange paper. Flashback. And after a few minutes, Naruto decided to take the scroll and took it along with the scroll that Mizuki specified. "This has to be for me, it has the same symbol," thought Naruto. It might be a super cool jutsu that Jiji prepared as a gift. Taking both scrolls and tying them to his back, Naruto went to the window where he entered and waiting for the squad whose patrol watched it. Once they left, he jumped out. Mizuki saw Naruto exit the house and smiled. Phase 2 of the plan was going smoothly, now all he had to do was wait to give the alarm to the other shinobi and then to throw them off, saying he saw Naruto in the village. Then he will go to the place where he and Naruto agreed to meet. Half an hour after leaving the Hokage's mansion, Naruto arrived at the place Mizuki mentioned to him, in the woods a few miles east of a training area. Naruto dumped the scroll with a spiral, leaning it against a tree trunk. He sat and started to read the first scroll to learn a technique and thus pass the Genin exam just like Mizuki told him. Page Bunshin no Jutsu. Damn it. It just had to be something, a clone. Whatever, I'll learn it and become a Genin. So Naruto read the seals of the jutsu, determined to learn the technique before dawn, which was when Mizuki was supposed to appear to see if he passed the exam. A few hours later, an exhausted Naruto nodded and grinned at the 10 clones with identical grins, making the sign of victory to the original. "Well done, boss," said one of the clones. "Now Mizuki-sensei will have to name you a Genin." "Great job, boss," said another clone animatedly, making Naruto laugh despite how tired he was. "Thanks," Naruto said, breathing fast to regain some energy. "Good thing I have great reserves or I wouldn't have made it." Naruto and the clones looked at each other. One of the clones voicing the question they all had: "Why does it take so much? Most Genin don't have very much chakra, do they?" "He's right," said another clone shaking his head. "Something is wrong here." One of the Narutos had grabbed the scroll and was reading the details of the technique. "Boss, I think you should see this." The clone held the scroll out to Naruto, right there after the description. "What?" asked one of the clones. "Is there something wrong?" "It's a kinjutsu," cried the original Naruto as he began to read aloud. "The Kage Bunshin no Jutsu is a kinjutsu prohibited by the Yondaime Hokage because of the amount of chakra it requires. It says here if you did not have a chakra reserve of an elite jonin, you might die from chakra exhaustion." "The kinjutsu, but what type of scroll for a genin is kinjutsu?" asked the clone alarmed. "Are you sure, boss?" asked one of the clones who was skeptical. "You must have misread it or something." "I'm not stupid," objected Naruto, throwing the scroll at the clone. The clone frowned and began to read despite the poor lighting. After reading the scroll twice, he looked at them grinning. He turned to a random clone. "Hit me." Naruto looked at him as if he had grown a second head. "What? Why do you want me to hit you?" the clone next to him asked. "Just do it," said the clone, and he saw the reluctance of the clones and decided to provoke the others. "Don't be a chicken dope." The clone launched a right hook, sending it into a tree where it exploded into smoke. "Who's the chicken now, huh?" Naruto scratched his head. "How do I know what the scroll said? I didn't read that far." The clone that hit the other clone took the scroll and began to read. "Everything a clone learns is passed on to the original one once the clone dispels. Hey, if you learn whatever a clone learns, that means if we each learn a technique from the scroll, then you learn all the techniques at once," said the clone. "If there is 10 of us here, then we can learn a 10 jutsu in the time it takes to learn one." Naruto grinned and jumped with his fist raised in the air. "I want each of you to find a technique in the scroll, learn how to do it. When you're done, pick another one." One of the clones looked at Naruto. "Boss, why not create more clones? You should have most of your chakra back by now." "Boss," Naruto at the clone, irritated at the interruption. "I think it would be better if we moved. We only have 3 hours before Mizuki-sensei comes." "Why would that matter?" "Something about this doesn't add up. Mizuki-sensei told you to take a scroll from Jiji's mansion which is full of kinjutsu." "What are you trying to say?" "I don't know, maybe Mizuki-sensei just wanted you to steal the scroll so he could take it and blame us." "Mizuki-sensei wouldn't do that," one of the clones said. "He only wants to help the boss graduate." "Well, it wouldn't be the first time someone lied about wanting to help me," said Naruto, recalling the time when he was 7, a woman invited him to dinner at her house. He was ambushed by a group of villagers. That was the first time he had to go to the ICU. "So what do we do, boss?" Naruto shook his head to clear it. "We'll find somewhere to train where we can't be found easily." He pointed at a clone. "You go get the survival kit that Inu-sen gave me for my birthday a long time ago." Pointing to a second clone, "You get as much food, kunai, shuriken and medical kits." And you, pointing to a third clone, "When the sun rises, go to Jiji's tower and tell him what Mizuki did to us, but don't tell Jiji where we are. Tell Jiji, we have the scrolls and disappear. I'll send the information to the others. Are we clear?" With a cry of "Hi boss," the clones split into 2 groups. Disclaimer: I do not own Naruto. All I own is some of the arcs that may appear in this fic. The Naruto series belongs to Masashi Kishimoto, but if it did belong to me, Sasuke would have been into more girls and Itachi would have been a lot more badass. Also, this is Shadimage Infiltrator story. I'm the translator. Naruto, youth of 12 years, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, hated and reviled by much of Konoha and Konoha. Second Lightning Yellow. Naruto no Jutsu. Hirshin learned the incident after Mizuki, Iruka, and the Scroll of Forbidden Seals. Another thing, Sasuke and Sakura may be humbled in the best way I can think of, especially Sasuke. Naruto is not a demigod or a super invincible and powerful. In the long run be better than the Yondaime, but will not start to defeat S-rank shinobi immediately. Will gain power quickly but not divine intervention or anything like that. Naruto train and train and train almost 24/7 before starting to kick ass for the fic to make any sense. 3 hours after Naruto and his clones vanished into the night, the village of Konoha was full of chaos. The news of the blonde's theft of the Forbidden Scroll of Seals had reached every shinobi Chunin and above. Security in the village was on high alert and several search teams had been deployed, scouring the village both inside and out. Each shinobi looked in the most desolate corners of Konoha, hoping to find the blonde or, for some, a well-deserved punishment, but none were successful. Even squads of the Inuzuka and Hyuga weren't able to find him. It was as if Naruto had been swallowed by the earth. Sarutobi was in his office massaging the temple of his forehead, trying to rid himself of the terrible migraine that Naruto's actions generated. Several shinobi were organized among themselves to find the blonde and make him suffer in the worst way possible. Sarutobi had to publicly threaten to execute them if they hurt him. "Where are you, Naruto?" asked a Sandaime, glancing at Yondaime's statue as he pulled out his pipe. As he was lighting it, his office door opened to his former teammates, Hamura and Kaharu, accompanied by his once longtime friend Danzo. Sarutobi said Hamura. Why have you not informed the council of the theft of the scroll of forbidden seals? It is being dealt with, there is no need for the council. This is not an issue to take lightly, Sarutobi Kaharu said. The council will give the command to retrieve the scroll in any medium possible, the dem. Crack. The Sandame's desk split from the blow, splinters flying everywhere, left Danzo arching an eyebrow. Sarutobi, fist clenched, raised his head, his look promising a slow tortuous death, a look he had not worn since the council had demanded the death of Naruto, who had only a few hours of life. Try it, Sarutobi said with a menacing tone emanating Kai. The heads of whoever kills him might tower until this village falls, their limbs will be scattered to the corners of this country. Saruhamura began, only to be interrupted by the Hokage. You will address me as Hokage-sama, Hamura. Sarutobi, he looked at Kaharu and Danzo, this is a shinobi matter, the council has no authority. Is that clear? None of the three elders answered, two of them by surprise, and the other for pride. Is it clear? Sandame asked again. Hi, Hokage-sama, answered Hamura and Kaharu, while Danzo remained silent, staring indifferently at the Hokage. Is it clear, Danzo? Sarutobi asked Danzo while he remained stoic as ever. You should have told me this child was this good, Danzo. Danzo didn't know what hit him, one moment he was giving his point of view to Sarutobi. The next, he was embedded in the wall, a hand crushing his neck. I could kill you right now, Danzo, Sarutobi muttered, so that only Danzo could hear him. Disrespect me one more time, Danzo, and I will kill you. You wouldn't dare, Sarutobi smirked Danzo as he vanished, reappearing by the door. It seems the older you get, the more your skills have faded. Anbu, the honorable elders need an escort to their homes, said Sarutobi as if nothing had happened. Hi, Hokage-sama. 3 Anbu materialized to escort the elders from the Hokage's office. Washi-san, could you please bring me a new desktop, unfortunately I won't be able to complete my paperwork without one. Another Anbu materialized, kneeling before the Hokage's ruined desk, as you wish, Hokage-sama. Take your time, be sure to choose the one that best suits my office, there's no rush. As you wish, Hokage-sama. The masked shinobi stood and vanished. Damn you, Minato, why did you have to seal the Kyuubi in Naruto and leave me with him and all this paperwork in the position of Hokage, murmured the Sandame, felt his migraine increasing with every second. I'm too old for this shit. After searching for his backup pipe, the Sandame was interrupted when the door opened again by 2 squads of Anbu. A third stood, crossing his arms behind his back. Report. Hokage-sama, just southeast of the village we found traces of Uzumaki, but they stopped roughly 200 yards away. Continue, said Sarutobi, interested. 4 miles east of Training Ground 12, Uzumaki's scent and the slight residue of chakra belonging to Uzumaki. The trail turns northward 100 meters. It appears that he is not acting alone. Explain. Sarutobi asked, worried. There are 9 other tracks, identical to Uzumaki, the Anbu answered. Hokage-sama is dot. The captain was stopped by one of his squad, signaling that someone was hidden in the office. He looked to the Sandame, who nodded slightly. The captain signed to one of his subordinates, who with a whisper of Byakugan, activated his Dijutsu. Uzumaki is here, the Anbu stated. The Sandame raised an eyebrow. How did Naruto reach his office and hide without being detected by the squads patrolling the village? Hey Jiji, Naruto called from the ceiling. Naruto, come down, said the Sandame as Naruto glanced at the Anbu, they will not do anything to harm you. Naruto fell, flipping to land in a silent crouch. Hi, Inu, Nico, Naruto said, raising a hand in greeting when he saw Inu-san. A faint smile appeared on the Sandame's face as he sat back in his lighting his pipe. How did you manage to get in here, Naruto, with almost the entire shinobi force is looking for you? Sarutobi said. HN. Hiding from them is easy, Jiji said Naruto, grinning. Really now? Asked Sarutobi, blowing smoke from his nose. Yep, I left where I'm training and hid in the tree when some shinobi happened to pass near me. Explained Naruto. A group of Inuzuka, a few pepper-itching bombs and their dogs went crazy, I slipped by past them during the confusion, I managed to make it into the alleys. After that it was just a matter of knowing which alleys to take and when to hide from passing patrols. Impressive, said the Sandame. Sarutobi took a long drag of his pipe before taking a more serious stance. Naruto-kun, why did you steal the scroll of forbidden seals? It is a very dangerous scroll with several kinjutsu. I know about kinjutsu, I learned 2 of them, Naruto said, surprising to those present. I stole it because Mizuki-sensei told me to. Naruto took a piece of paper from his pocket. He told me it was a secret test for genin that failed the first test. He told me I had to do it alone. Here are instructions on where to find the scroll. When I got close to your mansion there were 4 Anbu squads patrolling, using patrol patterns Alpha, Theta, and Pi. Which left a 37 seconds blind spot after Taurus and squad passed, after which I had enough time to sneak in through a window. Inu, I want that bastard, and I want him now. The Hokage's voice was thick with barely contained fury. Inu nodded, "Hi, Hokage-sama." On the other hand, he was surprised and proud of the skills and intelligence of the blonde to achieve something that many teachers of infiltration will have trouble with. "Well done, now tell me, Naruto-kun," said the Sandaime with a smile. "Now will you go fetch me the scroll?" Well, Naruto nervously scratched his head. "I can't return it yet. I'm still learning justice from there," said Naruto. "Oh. Before I forget, I also took the scroll with the spiral. I thought it was for me, so I just took." "Bye," Naruto said happily, vanishing in a swirl of smoke. "Kage Bunshin," said a shocked Anbu. In less than 12 hours, he learned Kage Bunshin. "Captain," Sarutobi said loudly and firmly, double the effort of searching for Naruto. He cannot find out what's in that scroll. Naruto is not ready to learn its secrets. Look everywhere but do not permanently cripple Naruto. Report this to all the shinobi you see. Also bring Hada Kakashi to me immediately. Go." "Hi." The Anbu replied, vanishing in a swirl of leaves, leaving a desolate Hokage, who dropped into his chair. "If he is not found within 48 hours, I'll call Jiraiya." Mizuki ran, desperately searching through the woods of Konoha, looking for Naruto. He had arrived at meeting place to find it deserted, and after waiting for several minutes he decided to leave and search for Naruto. When he found the little demon, he would take the scroll and kill him once and for all. "Damn it, Kyuubi, where the fuck are you?" Mizuki cried, and noise in the trees put him on high alert. "Who's there?" The few silent seconds stretched for an eternity before a hooded figure emerged from the morning mists. Because of the hood, Mizuki couldn't distinguish any details that could identify the individual. "Mizuki," the person voice was definitely a male's. "Where is the scroll?" Mizuki began to sweat. The hooded man was the one who had given Hai the mission as a show of loyalty to Orochimaru. "I'm heading to pick it up from a student of mine," said Mizuki, nervously. "Ah yes, Uzumaki Naruto." Mizuki cringed. "How the hell does he know that?" Yes," said Mizuki, struggling to keep his voice even. "I will dispose of the boy and take the scroll to Orochimaru-sama personally." After hearing the name of Orochimaru, 3 of the Anbu started to draw their ninjados. The leader of the group raised his hand, giving a silent order to wait. The Anbu nodded and kept in position. "Stalker." "I would hope so, Mizuki. Orochimaru-sama does not accept excuses for failure," threatened hooded man. "You have 2 days to get the scroll to Otagakure. If you fail, you'd best kill yourself. It would save Orochimaru-sama from having to hunt you down himself." "Who are you?" Mizuki asked, intrigued. "When you have succeeded in your mission, you may learn who I am." The figure looked around briefly. "You'd better hurry. Orochimaru-sama will reward you greatly for the scroll, but the price of failure will be your life." As the figure faded into the trees, the Inu signaled for 2 of his squad to tail him. Inu signaled for his remaining subordinate to incapacitate Mizuki. As Mizuki leapt from branch to branch, he felt something sting his neck. His muscles froze, causing him to crash to the ground. He barely managed to lift his head, his heart stopping when he saw 2 Anbu standing above him. "Taujin Mizuki, by order of the Hokage, you are under arrest for treason. You think Anko-sen will like our present?" "She should be, she's been complaining about not having any new toys to play with. I wonder if I can get a date from this." "Not likely." The Anbu looked down at Mizuki. "He has a connection to Orochimaru, that's like bonus points with her." The pair of Anbu who took him and disappeared. Naruto and his clones were in a large clearing. 100 clones were reading the forbidden scroll, while another 200 were practicing jutsus. The original was trying unsuccessfully to open the second scroll. The noise at the edge of the clearing drew the Naruto's attention to a praying mantis standing over 3 meters tall. "Fuck," Naruto exclaimed, staring at the monstrosity. He snapped into action, creating 50 more clones and bellowing out commands, "Take the scrolls and other things. Get them to a safe place while we fight." Naruto eyed the mantis evilly. "I wonder how you taste roasted." His hands flashed through a series of seals ending with tiger, Heiken. Flames wreathed Naruto's hands and those of several clones who had also performed the jutsu. Naruto hissed in pain as the flames burned his arms. "I gotta find a way to stop that." "Kazika." Many of the other clones flashed through a sequence of seals ending in dragon, and with a cry of Kazika, whirlwinds wrapped around their arms. Naruto noticed many of the clones' arms being cut by the Kazika, but their regeneration kicked in to hold them together. Naruto motioned for his clones to surround the mantis as it was preparing to attack. "Let's see who's hunted now," Naruto muttered as he leapt at the bug. Screams echoed from Cell 50, where they took the most dangerous criminals and spies with important information. Like any other in the torture and interrogation division of Anbu, it was layered in seals to prevent the prisoner from molding chakra, to prevent chakra leakage, and some that caused crippling pain or death if the prisoner managed to make it through the door. The oddity of CTI-50 was that, except for the entrance, it was surrounded by an observation room which could easily fit almost 100 people, and thanks to a few seals and jutsus, everything that happened inside the cell could be seen by everyone. In the cell sat Mizuki. After a week and a half of agonizing torture from Mitarashi Anko and Marino Ibiki, Anko took extra pleasure in torturing him. In the observation room was the Sandaime Hokage, along with the entire council composed of civilians, clan leaders, and the Hokage's two elderly teammates. As well as some of the most prominent of Konoha's jounin, who were in a heated argument with the Hokage about the incident of the scroll, which had yet to be found. An Anbu entered the room, reported that Mizuki was about to break. Ibiki's smile would make even the bravest men tremble, ready to talk Mizuki, or perhaps, I should let Anko play with you some more. Mizuki looked up erratically. Blood flowed from the wounds on his lips and the inside of the mouth, nose broken, one eye swollen, and multiple cuts on his face. The rest of his body wasn't in much better shape, broken bones, third-degree burns and a bit of an internal bleeding problem. Please, no more, Mizuki began coughing blood. Please, no more, I beg of you. Speak or Anko gets to play some more. Mizuki looked at Anko out of his good, she was balancing a kunai on her index finger, her face was a mixture of lust and dementia. I'll talk, cried Mizuki. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? Anko asked coyly. Ibiki shook his head at Anko's antics. Let's start with why you wanted to steal the forbidden scroll. Money. Orochimaru promised me money and power if I gave it to him, said Mizuki. A man from Orochimaru's group contacted me and told me he wanted me to join a Togakur. What is a Togakur? Ibiki asked as he injected a needle of morphine into Mizuki's arm for his willingness to talk. A new hidden village, said Mizuki. Orochimaru created it. I don't know where it is, just that it's in the country of rice. Who was the one who contacted you about Orochimaru? Ibiki asked. I don't know. I'm not sure. I believe you, Anko drawled, reaching towards him with the kunai. Mizuki pulled away as much as he could, shouting, it's true, I swear. Anko looked to Ibiki, who shook his head. Why did you trick Uzumaki Naruto into stealing the scroll? Mizuki's face filled with rage. I planned to blame and then kill him. I would have taken the scroll, spat Mizuki hatefully. The Kyuubi should have died years ago. Don't be stupid, said Anko. That brat's not the Kyuubi. Yes he is. Mizuki roared, he's the damned Kyuubi. Every time I look at him I can see that damned fox destroying everything in its path. He should have died years ago. Anko's fist to his solar plexus silenced him. Where were you supposed to meet with Uzumaki after he stole the scroll? Ibiki asked Mizuki as he recovered. In a clearing 4 kilometers from the camp, Mizuki said. How did you plan to escape from the village? It's not like you could have walked out the front gate. Ibiki asked. When Mizuki didn't respond, Anko slowly began to push a kunai into Mizuki's thigh, turning it slowly. Mizuki began to shout and pleading for them to stop. Mizuki, said Ibiki. How did you plan to escape the village with the scroll? The weapons storehouse on the south wall, said Mizuki. There's a trapdoor that leads 5 miles outside of Konoha. Who told you that information? Ibiki asked. My handler, said Mizuki. All I know is that it's a secret entrance that Orochimaru's spies use to exit and enter the village. Do you know of any others? Ibiki asked. I know they exist, but I don't know where they are. Said. Do you know the names of any more of Orochimaru's spies? Ibiki asked. No, said Mizuki. What convinced you? How did he get you to betray Konoha? Ibiki asked. When I asked why he chose Orochimaru, my handler told me he was a shinobi that could be useful and not some pathetic shinobi following the Sandaime. He said I was the most appropriate and Orochimaru will reward me well. Any other promise Orochimaru told you? Asked Ibiki. He promised me the 10 no Juin, said Mizuki as Anko put her hand to where he stamped her so many years ago and watched with fury to the deplorable prisoner. He told me that Orochimaru gives it to his most loyal followers and it gives them unimaginable power. Anything else? Asked Ibiki. I told you everything I know, said Mizuki, I swear. Do you know the whereabouts of Naruto Uzumaki? Ibiki asked. Still can't him, Mizuki said, chuckling. The Kyuubi wouldn't pass up an opportunity to become stronger, to destroy everything. Answer the question, Mizuki, Ibiki said. I don't have the slightest idea, said Mizuki. Ibiki looked at Anko. Heal his more serious wounds. He stared unmoved by Anko's pouting. The Hokage wants him alive. If he tries something, deal with it with non-lethal force. The Anko nodded sulkily as she performed a scan of Mizuki's wounds. Ibiki withdrew from the cell and entered the door to the observation room. Okage-sama, said Ibiki. We have obtained all the information that the prisoner knows. Good, I want the report on my desk by noon tomorrow. Ibiki nodded. Hi Hokage-sama. Oh, and tell Anko that I left her a present in cell 45. Ibiki blinked, confused. A present, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi smiled slightly. Oh yes, a young man, Yuzuki Yoroi, perhaps you've heard of him. Ibiki blinked, thinking, Genin, graduated 4 years ago, interesting ability to drain chakra from his opponents. The Hokage nodded. He was tracked and apprehended by Inu Squad a short time ago. It appears he was Mizuki's handler. Ah, I see. We will give him priority then. Oh, and there's no need to rush, tell Anko to take her time, have fun. Yes sir, smirking Ibiki turned to leave. Until one of the council members decided to open their mouths. How do you know that he told you everything? Ibiki glared over his shoulder at the council member, some the look in his eyes show me that he know nothing else. The Sandaime and many shinobi nodded, they wouldn't argue Ibiki's final answer, he was the expert after all. That's your answer, said a civilian member of the council, just by looking into his eyes, you know he's telling all he knows. Shouldn't you continue to torture him? He might be an accomplice of the Kyuubi and just said he works for Orochimaru to mislead the investigation. The shinobi in the room looked nervous and slightly excited, Ibiki's anger was legendary and nothing set him off faster than anyone, except maybe the Hokage himself, questioning his work. So far Ibiki's face remained impassive as he slowly walked until his face was inches from the man who had spoken. Are you questioning my work? Ibiki asked with a softly, in a tone that sent a shiver down the spines of the watching council. Show me more respect, demanded the council member, his voice quavering. And tell me, sir, Ibiki said leaning on the subject that began to wet his pants, why I should do that. I am a member of the council, said the man gulping, slightly emboldened by stating his position. With a snap of my fingers, I can have you thrown out on the streets. Ibiki glanced at the Hokage, who nodded with a slight smile. Ibiki grinned, which brought a chill to the shinobi. I am the chief of torture and interrogation, Ibiki said. And with a snap of my fingers I can have you sleeping in a cell for threatening a member of the Konoha shinobi forces. Ibiki snapped his fingers and two Anbu appeared around the council member. Wait, what? Asked one of the other council members. Take him to a cell and he and I will be having a conversation with when I'm done here. The Anbu nodded and began to take the guy who was shaking. Stop, don't you know who I am? The man exclaimed. Sarutobi, tell your men to stop. Sarutobi frowned and raised his hand to stop the Anbu who stopped but did not release the subject, who wore an arrogant smile. Mr. Fukazawa, said Sarutobi. You are suspended for threatening shinobi of Konoha and resisting arrest. Your assets will be confiscated until the end of an inquiry. Anbu, make sure Mr. Fukazawa is comfortable for his chat, I'm sure Ibiki won't be too long. Fukazawa stared at the Hokage in shock, he didn't even realize the Anbu had hit him until the world went dark. The other council members, civilians and shinobi, were shocked, the clan leaders were pleasantly surprised by what happened. Nobody has the authority to give orders to or threaten my shinobi in that way, said the Sandaime facing the rest of those present, particularly civilians who have no understanding of a shinobi's life. If you do not like it, you may retire. Now, ladies, gentlemen, please join me in the council chamber to discuss the information about Mizuki. 2 days later in the Hokage's office. Hokage-sama, Kiba yelled rushing past the Hokage's secretary. Only to be pinned to the floor by the 4 Anbu in the office itself. He carefully lifted his head up, trying to avoid the blade at his throat, to look at the Hokage, who was smiling amusedly, and several jounin. We found traces of Uzumaki Naruto. Let him up, Sandaime ordered, the Anbu obeyed immediately. Helping him to her feet and releasing his partner where. Hana walked in, smacking the back of Kiba's head, his scent was in the forest of death, near the forbidden area. Kiba recognized Uzumaki's scent as we passed near the entrance. The scent was mixed with blood, meat, wood smoke and antiseptic, indicating that Uzumaki Naruto had been camping for some time, at least 4 days. Everyone was surprised that Naruto had camped in an area where only Anbu and Jonin trained, the Hokage, Jiraiya and Kakashi disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The other jounin vanished shortly after. Tsume remained to congratulate her children and their canine companions. Well done you 5, said Tsume. Now go to the complex, you deserve rest. Then she too vanished in a swirl of leaves. The Hokage, Jiraiya and Kakashi were charging through the streets of Konoha, closely followed by the clan leaders, several of the most prominent and several Anbu and Jonin, startling both the civilians and the shinobi of Konoha. They were joined on the way by several other jounin and a few chunin, both curious and alarmed. The Hokage and his following leapt over the high chain fence surrounding the training ground. The Ashi, Tsume find Naruto, Anko guide the group following us. If you think it's best you tell them to stop and everyone will follow your orders. Yes, Hokage-sama, Anko said with a bow and then turned to the group. Alright, you all heard the Hokage-sama, I'll be in charge in there. The forest of death ain't your normal place for a family picnic. Guy, Asuma, Genma and Kakashi are in charge of defending the group. Shibi will be responsible to check the surroundings for dangerous or poisonous insects. Shikaku, you're on support and I need 2 volunteers for long-range support and 2 mednin. She glanced at the group and pointed out 2 random jounin and you 2 long-range and you pointing at a couple of the people in scrubs, you're our doctors. Now we don't want to attract any more attention than we need to, so no flashy jutsu, us being here has the animals on alert. This part of the forest is much more dangerous than where we hold the Chunin exam. She glanced at the group grinning maniacally. I will not be held responsible if you die because you do something stupid. The group arrived near Naruto's camp without much trouble. There were dozens of traps surrounding the campsite. The group managed to evade most of them with Hiyashi's help, although some of them were almost impossible to find even with the Byakugan, which impressed Shikaku. Jiraiya wasn't that surprised. With the kid's parents, how could he not have a devious mind? A few meters from the camp the group stopped, watching Naruto and his clones, all of whom missed the 20 or 30 shinobi in the trees. Several clones were practicing kata, some clones were sitting and apparently meditating, and other clones were reading books. Shikaku recognized several tactics books, and Jiraiya recognized a book on Fuinjutsu. What's he doing? Asuma asked, looking at all the clones. Their Kage Bunshin, explained Kakashi. Everything they learn passes on to the original when they dispel. Minato-sensei used them to create and test the Hiroshin, and for paperwork. The downside is that the mental feedback can cause migraines or even unconsciousness, that in the sheer amount of chakra it takes to even make one. Sandame's head turned so quickly in the direction that everyone thought Kakashi could have broken his neck. Say what, Kakashi-san? Sarutobi asked. Minato-sensei used Kage Bunshin to create and test the Hiroshin. His visible eye crinkled as he smiled. No, after that, about paperwork, said Sarutobi. Oh, Minato-sensei left the clones with the paperwork while he went out to eat ramen or see Kushina, to spar with me or nap in his clan's garden. The Sandame slapped a hand to his forehead, cursing his own stupidity and cursing both Minato and Kakashi for not telling him the secret for defeating every Kage's most hated enemy, paperwork. If it wasn't for the fact that many of the council members wanted to execute Naruto for stealing the scroll, Jiraiya would have taken the opportunity to mock the professor, but he chose to leave it for later. Hiyashi reported that a snake was entering the camp, evading all the traps. The snake hit one of Naruto's clones, dispelling it and alerting Naruto and the other clones. Another one said a clone. Damn, snakes never learn. One of the meditating clones opened an eye and glared at him. Quit complaining and kill it already, we need more meat anyways. The first clone glared at the second. What, no way. I killed the last one, you do it. I'm busy. What do you mean busy, you're just sitting there. It's called meditating. Will they be able to defeat it? Anko thought one more thing, if he did I hope that he is not stupid enough to eat a full boa without removing the poison first. One of the random Narutos, holding a katana, looked up at the two bickering clones. Both of you get back to work. He looked over at the others. Who wants to kill it? I do, cried a clone, its hand raised, jumping. Choose me. Go for it, said Naruto. He looked at two other clones. Start getting things ready to cook the snake. The clones nodded and moved to the place where a makeshift kitchen had been formed with a bunch of basic cooking implements. One began to wet knives, the other cleaned the cutting board and then cleared out the large circle of stones, stacking fresh firewood. Is he seriously going to send a single clone to fight? Anko asked incredulously. Looks like it, Kakashi replied. Then he began his precious icha, but a cold stare from some of the gathered females stopped him. Now that makes Naruto-kun, said Sarutobi. If he has enough confidence to send a single clone to fight, it means he's learned a few new tricks. This is a good opportunity to see what he's learned from the scrolls these past 2 weeks. Hey boss, how long do you think it'll take to kill it? Asked a clone. 5 minutes tops, said Naruto absently. Yes, answered the clones that were observing but not letting down their guard, especially those surrounding Naruto. The snake hissed softly as it approached its prey. The Naruto clone smiled and started rotating arms to stretch the muscles. He slid into a strange taijutsu stance. Gikundu, Guy's voice was barely above a whisper. Kakashi turned to his rival. You say something, Guy. That stance, it's the first ready stance for Jeet Kune Do, repeated Guy. Why don't you explain it for the rest of the class, Guy? The green Jounin nodded and turned to the others. Jeet Kune Do, also known as the way of the intercepting fist, was created centuries ago before the age of ninjutsu. Jeet Kune Do, that and the other old styles were more than just to beat your opponent. At the time each style had many philosophical and spiritual aspects. How does Naruto know that style? Genma asked. The Uzumaki clan in its infancy was a nomadic clan that toured the world and found many ancient relics, settling in Yuzu no Kuni, said Jiraiya. I wouldn't be surprised that an ancient taijutsu style, along with others, is within the scroll that Naruto took. I clenched fist to contain the excitement of seeing an old style of taijutsu and possibly others, and wondered if it would be possible for Naruto to let him see some learning styles or leave even one. We don't have all day, said a loud clone already bored of seeing the other clone, trying to provoke the giant snake that seemed mesmerized by his movements. The clone in front of the snake flashed his hands through a series of seals before slipping back into its stance, his fists wreathed in flames. Are you going to attack, you stupid snake? No, then I'll go first. The clone's fist blasted the snake's jaw, making rise and burning the scales. 3 kicks and slammed into the snake's body, a spin and a heel to the head sent the serpent into a tree with enough force to knock it over. All this happened in less than a second and without taking his left foot off the ground. "That was disappointing," said a clone. "I was expecting something more." "Yeah, where was the climax, the epic fight he barely survives," complained another. "How do you expect there to be a climax, one hit and we pop?" Another clone asked. "Besides, it's hard to have a climax when the idiot was just dancing with the snake." "Hey, that's not a dance and you know it," the clone that defeated the snake said. "It is a defense tactic to mislead and provoke the opponent." "Yes, but the opponent has to be a person to work," criticized the clone. "The snake was just dizzy with that much movement." The discussion eventually dissolved into a fight exchanging fists and feet that were blocked with great skill, but not mastery. One of the clones switched styles mid-swing, which caught the attention of the Hokage, Jiraiya and the Jonin. What style is that?" Asuma asked, astonished. "Muay Thai," said Guy. "It's a fairly complex style that uses fists, arms, elbows, knees, legs, feet and grappling. It's a style which allows almost everything except biting, it revolves around strong and solid shots that can cause great harm." The clone using Jeet-Kune-Do sent 3 kicks, the clone took 2 of the hits but blocked the third, aimed at his head with his left forearm. He retaliated with a low kick to the back of the knee, causing it to bend a bit. He grabbed the head of his counterpart, gripping the hair tightly with both hands to deliver consecutive hits with his right knee to the face of the clone, causing it to disappear in a puff of smoke. "Impressive," said Asuma. "That's just the basics," said Guy, "but it seems Naruto-kun has the basics of both styles perfected. Muay Thai is a risk because after you deliver a hit you give your opponent an advantage. That is why part of the style involves learning to tense your muscles to lessen the blows." "Ai-san, what if you reinforce the chakra blows?" Sarutobi asked. "That would put him on par with most high chunin in regards to Taijutsu," said Guy. "And combined with that fire jutsu we saw Naruto-kun use, even Jounin would be forced to fight him seriously." "Thanks, Guy," Sarutobi-san said, smiling proudly. After the fight, Naruto commanded some clones to find the snake and cook it. 30 clones picked up the snake and then cut off his head and began to carry it to the place. Naruto set the remaining clones back to training when he felt the presence of several high-level threats surrounding his camp. He and his clones reacted with a rain of kunai shuriken and a few katana, all of which were blocked with ease. The Hokage lazily blocked a katana with a kunai and grabbed the wrist of a clone who had leapt from his left. "Well done, Naruto, I never thought you would react so well." "Did you?" said Naruto, surprised. Naruto and the clones pulled their weapons and kunai from the Hokage and the other shinobi. "Yo, Naruto." Kakashi greeted with a wave, closing his visible eye. "Inunai-san?" Naruto asked Kakashi, who nodded. "Hello, Naruto," Asuma said, waving as a greeting. Naruto looked at him. It took a moment to recognize him. "Kamuri-san?" Naruto yelled to see who turned pale. "Hey, you're not a homeless drug addict?" "Kamuri?" asked Anko, with a ruthless smile, while Kakashi, Tsume and Genma tried not to laugh. Sandame smiled at the nickname again that the little 4-year-old Naruto gave Asuma. "It's a nickname that Naruto gave me when he was 4 after I returned to Konoha to visit the family," said Asuma. "I had hoped he'd forgotten that nickname." "I'm screwed," Asuma thought. "I hope that nickname doesn't reach the bingo book." "Don't worry, Kamuri-san, at least you don't look like a tramp now," said Genma, added, trying and failing not to laugh. Sarutobi decided to bail out his son. Jokes aside, the Hokage looked at the 3 Jonin, then to Naruto. "I'm glad to see you again, Naruto-kun. Can I ask you what you are doing out here?" "Training Jiji," said Naruto as usual. "I can see," said Camp Hiruzen, watching Naruto. "You did a great job with the camp and snares." "Okage-sama," said Shibi. "The most logical thing would be to gather everything and leave this place. We must ensure the integrity of the scroll of forbidden seals and Naruto-san." "You're right, Shibi-san," said Sarutobi. "Naruto-kun, would you tell your clone to get out of here as soon as possible?" Naruto looked at the Sandame, his eyes shining with tears, his lower lip pulling into a pout. "Digi," said Naruto with his lip trembling. "Can't I stay here for a few more days? Please." Sarutobi looked at Naruto and sighed. "Naruto-kun, you know that stopped working on me when you turned 10. Sarutobi smiled. "It will work later with your girlfriend," said Jiraiya, bringing out his perverted side. Naruto looked at Jiraiya and then Sarutobi again. "Is he, Jiji?" Naruto asked. "Jiraiya, here is one of my students," said Sarutobi. Naruto looked back at Jiraiya. "Really?" said Naruto, looking at Jiraiya from head to toe, measuring him. "He doesn't seem that strong, looks more like an old pervert." Naruto. Jiraiya approached with an intimidating aura. Naruto shrugged it off easily. Jiraiya lifted Naruto off the floor by his shirt. "Listen, Brad, I'm not an old pervert," Jiraiya said seriously. "Really, is that so?" Naruto asked, arching an eyebrow. "I am a super pervert." Jiraiya said after releasing Naruto and was in a ridiculous pose to the shame of sarutobi. I'll pack up, Gigi said, Naruto neutrally turning around. Jiraiya blinked a few times and then stood upright again, mumbling something about blondes with no respect for the elderly. Others preferred not to make any comment on the little that remained of the legendary Sannin. Naruto took his index finger and thumb to his mouth to give a strong whistle and calling the attention of all the clones. Alright, time to pack up, he shouted. Most of the clones stared at him. Gather the scrolls. Let's get moving, we don't have all day. The clones began to grab the weapons, books, scrolls and other things on the floor. They began to seal them, and a large white scroll was kept in a cavity in the trunk of a tree. Naruto on the other hand took the Uzumaki family scroll, a hole in the ground, and the scroll of forbidden seals which was lying on the side of the camp. A clone tossed him a new shirt, the one he was wearing was ruined. Naruto ripped the tattered material, showing his developing muscles and lack of body fat. After putting the new black shirt on, being dressed in all black and no longer sporting his orange diver, which was destroyed after the first weeks of training. He took the katana, the symbol of the head of the Uzumaki clan, it had belonged to his mother and his grandfather, and put it on his back, the handle pointing to the right. He tied the Uzumaki scroll and hung it from his left shoulder. He held the scroll of forbidden seals out to Hokage. Here, Gigi said Naruto with a depressed tone, I know you're disappointed in me. Sarutobi smiled, took the scroll and ruffled the blonde hair. I'm not disappointed in you, Naruto-kun. I was upset for a few days, but now I'm just worried about what you learned from the scroll that you carry on your back. Are you going to take the scroll too? Gigi asked Naruto quietly, almost inaudible. No, Naruto-kun, I will not, it is your rightful inheritance. He put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. I would have preferred that you'd had waited until you were older, but what's done is done. But we will need to talk about what you learned from it and the responsibilities of its keeping. Naruto looked at the Sandaime, tears running down his cheeks. Thanks, Gigi, he managed to say through his tears as he was wrapped in a hug by the Hokage. Do not worry, Naruto-kun, said Sarutobi. Everything will be fine. Let it out. He turned to the others, lifting the crying boy easily. Come, the group disappeared from the place, leaving almost no trace of their presence on the campsite. After leaving the Forest of Death, they met a group of other shinobi who had been waiting outside. Many stared at Naruto in disbelief. How had an academy student managed to live through 2 weeks alone in the Forest of Death? One Jonin in particular looked at Naruto with surprise. He quickly walked over to Kakashi to confirm that the katana was the one he thought it was. Kakashi nodded, whispering that he should remain silent to avoid causing a commotion. Hayate nodded and made a mental note to assess the kid's proficiency in Kenjutsu and possibly offer some training for a few moves. Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan was highly admired by samurai and swordsmen throughout the elemental nations. Even the Kiri no Nanatsu respected and admired the Uzumaki clan, since their founder was an Uzumaki, who had taught 7 young prodigies during the reign of the Shodaime Mizukiges. The Sandaime gave orders to withdraw, but before the shinobi could leave, a loud cry was erupted from the forest. Not again, Naruto complained. What is it, Naruto-kun? Sarutobi asked. I think the giant beetle has recovered, said Naruto. The 4th day I was attacked by a giant beetle. It was at least 10 meters tall, and my kunai and shuriken just bounced off its shell. I swarmed it with clones, and one was lucky enough to fry it with Heiken. After that it ran off and I hadn't seen it since. Naruto, what is the Heiken? It's a jutsu I learned from my scroll, it sets my arms on fire, which hurts by the way, I gotta find a way to stop that. I looked over from where he was standing. That is what you used against the serpent, was it not? Yeah, it was. Shibi approached Naruto and showed him a picture of a beetle in a small book. Naruto-san, is this the beetle you encountered? Asked Shibi, sighing when Naruto nodded. Hokage-sama, the beetle that Naruto-san encountered appears to be one of the giant emperor beetles. They are covered with an armored shell harder than steel and emit a highly concentrated poison gas. They are highly territorial and do not like when their prey escapes them. It would seem that it believes Naruto to be its prey and has tracked him this far. How do we stop it? Sarutobi asked. An upper B class should be enough to pierce its shell, said Shibi. Its shell is also highly heat resistant, but as Naruto-san said, its abdomen is its weak point. Naruto-san is quite fortunate that he managed to harm it enough to scare it away. It should be fine, said Anko, the barrier should stop it. The barrier does not extend more than 5 meters under the surface, the emperor beetle can burrow through the ground quite quickly. Said Shibi. Less than 2 minutes later the ground began to tremble, causing the Hokage and the shinobi to retreat a short distance with the civilians. Naruto slipped free from Shibi's grasp and formed 2 clones. The 3 of them leapt back forwards and began a series of seals, the clones mirroring each other in front of Naruto. The beetle broke through the surface in a spray of earth and leaves. As the beetle emerged, Naruto's clones screamed out their jutsu, with Naruto's cry half a second behind. Ufufuten no jutsu. Hayden, the two clones breathed out twin tornadoes that joined together into lifting the beetle into the air. The clones directed the tornado deeper into the forest as they dispelled from chakra use. Naruto spit a blast of flame into the cyclone, turning it into a firestorm. As the palms of Naruto's hands approached one another, the tornado of fire began to diminish its size. When his palms touched, the tornado disappeared in a tongue of fire. Kakashi approached where Naruto, breath ragged from exhaustion, had fallen. A bit over the top, but effective. I give it 6 out of 5. Well, Naruto said after regaining his breath and began to stand. That was harder to control than I thought. The battle is not the place to try new jutsu, Naruto-kun, said Sarutobi, looking at Naruto seriously. Especially a new Kaiten jutsu when you are fighting in the middle of a forest. The Hokage massaged his temples and regained his composure. It is best to save those for training, Naruto-kun. He gave the boy a pointed look and only with adequate supervision with a jounin or higher. The glare that made Naruto shrink back as that understood. Naruto was nodding quickly, why yes Jiji. Perfectly understood, I won't try a new jutsu in a battle. Good, he turned to the gathered shinobi, return to your duties. He turned to the council, we will convene for another meeting tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning. Sarutobi approached Kakashi, Kakashi-san, accompany me to the hospital, Naruto needs a medical exam. But Jiji, I'm fine. Kakashi sighed, hi, Hokage-sama. Disclaimer, I do not own Naruto. All I own is some of the arcs that may appear in this fic. The Naruto series belongs to Masashi Kishimoto, but if it did belong to me, Sasuke would have been into more girls and Itachi would have been a lot more badass. Also, this is Shadimage Infiltrator story, I'm the translator. Naruto is not a demigod or a super invincible and powerful. In the long run be better than the Yondaime, but will not start to defeat S-rank shinobi immediately. Will gain power quickly but not divine intervention or anything like that. Naruto trained and trained and trained almost 24/7 before starting to kick ass for the fic to make any sense. It had only been a day and the news of Naruto 2 weeks stay in Shai no Mori while studying the Fukin no Sho and how he learned 2 techniques that disintegrated the giant beetle emperor. Many shinobi were surprised by the blonde and although some were incredulous at first when they heard about the strength of the blonde. Some villagers started a rumor that the blonde was possessed by the Kyuubi and had launched a technique to destroy Konoha, but several shinobi who would have previously agreed with them said it was stupid and even threatened to punish those who dared to spread a lie like that. The fact that the same shinobi that just days before the blonde stole the scroll hated the blonde and now they began to defend him resulted in many villagers reconsidering the opinion that they had of the container of the Kyuubi, though some villagers thought the Kyuubi bewitched the shinobi to make them respect and even admire the blonde. Naruto on the other hand remained oblivious of these rumors because for the last 3 days since he has remained in the hospital in Konoha after the results of the tests determined that much of his muscles were overstretched because of the training he conducted during the last 2 weeks. Also he had a mild case of malnutrition due to all the ramen the blonde had eaten in recent years, making him deficient in several vitamins and minerals. Naruto, true lover of ramen, he objected that ramen would hurt him. The doctor told him that if he doesn't eat more fruits and vegetables he would stop growing. The revelation that ramen was the cause of his low height was a sensitive issue for the blonde since he was the shortest in his class. Naruto promised to have a better diet and only go to Ichiraku's once a day and eat no more than 5 bowls. Naruto was now sitting on his bed with an IV attached to his right arm connected to an IV with nutrients to compensate for the lack of nutrients he had. Hello Naruto-kun, how are you doing, asked Sarutobi as he came walking in. Gigi smiled the young blonde as he hugged the Sandaime Hokage. I came here to check on you, responded Sarutobi as he stood up. Well, since you are okay I have to go, Naruto-kun, I have to deal with some issues. It's my fault isn't it, frowned Naruto. Indirectly replied Hiruzen. Due to the incident with the scroll, there are those who want to condemn you even though you were deceived by your sensei. Unfortunately, since you aren't a genin, it is within the jurisdiction of the civilian council, but as the incident involved a traitor and a dangerous ninja scroll, the matter was brought to general debate of the council. There are board members who have much hatred for you and want to punish you as severely as possible, but do not worry because we have everything solved. Naruto nodded and then looked worried when Sandaime. Gigi, watch out for the old man with bandages. Danzo? Questioned Hiruzen and Naruto nodded. Why do you say that? He controls people with his right eye, Jiji-sama. How is that possible, Naruto-kun? Mused Hiruzen. Danzo told me that he lost his right eye years ago. He has a red eye with black spots, he covers it with those bandages, explained Naruto as Hiruzen opened his eyes and surprised at the description of Danzo's right eye and motioned for Naruto to continue. One time after escaping from the Anbu after I pulled a prank I went into a building to hide. The building was dark and I began to walk in. When I heard someone coming I went into the vents to hide. I did not see who it was, but when I tried to exit the duct between the lids was latched, so I had to find another exit. When looking for a way out I saw two elders discussing something. I do not know what they were discussing, but it seemed the Danzo wanted them to do something, and they refused. After Danzo pulled up his bandages I saw a red eye with black spots. He told them they had to do something and they agreed this time. After that an Anbu appeared and began talking about the Eye of Shisui, I think it was called, and Danzo said this eye is perfect. Then they began to talk about removing someone and I got scared, thinking that if they caught me I would be killed. You could cover your steps for so long Danzo, but no longer Sarutobi thought. Now I have you and nobody can save you. Thanks for the info, Naruto-kun Sarutobi-kun exclaimed as he ruffled the young boy's hair. Now where is this building that you entered? It is a 3-story white building that is 4 blocks north of the Hokage Tower. When you go inside the first floor has a store of weapons and implements for shinobi, but not too many people go there I don't think, because I've never seen people come up with something in their hands, which is strange because the things that I saw through the windows are of good quality. I have never entered the store because once I step in I can feel that someone is watching me. I get bad vibes there. Thank you Naruto-kun said Sarutobi. Now I will leave you to rest. Tomorrow I will come when you are discharged. Okay, Jiji replied Naruto. See you tomorrow, take care. When Hiruzen left the hospital room, he motioned for an Anbu to come. The Anbu appeared kneeling before the Hokage. Give notice to 4 teams to observe and infiltrate the building ordered Sarutobi. If the evidence is found remove it and if they have any problems they are authorized to use force to secure their escape. I do not want to start a war in the middle of Konoha, so I hope nothing happens. Hi, Hokage-sama, retorted the Anbu who disappeared out of sight. I do not know if he is an expert in infiltration or if he is just damn, smiled a man that Sarutobi recognized as his pupil Jiraiya. A bit of both Sarutobi replied smiling. He is quiet when he wants to be and you know he is almost impossible to find. If it were not for the young Inyazuka Kiba, who is familiar with the scent of Naruto-kun we would not have found him. What will you do? Questioned Jiraiya. Come to my office, Jiraiya Sarutobi-kun said as he noticed that a nurse was trying to hear what they said. Jiraiya nodded and went along to the tower with Sandaime Hokage. The nurse tried to follow, but she felt a blow to the neck and everything went black from there. Things are so complicated right now, said an Anbu as he began to tie the nurse. The board is so full of shit we're fighting against ourselves, exclaimed another Anbu. Never mind that, answered another Anbu, but unlike the other was covered with a blue hood and almost have them. They wanted a war and were silent. The best thing for us is to do what we are best at. He's right, inputted another Anbu. Surprisingly after all that we investigated on Danzo we could not find anything, but could Uzumaki be lucky? It's not just luck, said the captain. Remember the village persecutions that lasted for hours before they could capture him and that was only because he got hungry and went to eat ramen. Uzumaki knows a lot of infiltration and how escape. Not everyone discovers patterns of patrols by watching for a few minutes as he did when he stole the scroll. He's an interesting person responded the third Anbu. He might become a legendary shinobi. Do you really think so? Questioned the captain. Of course, answered the Anbu. We have seen how his teaching wasn't the best at the academy by order of the board that went to carry the authority of the Sandaime and still is better than any genin who just graduated, including the famous Uchiha Sasuke who had everything on a silver platter. After the Uchiha incident, the council changed academy and now they teach nonsense to avoid the appearance of another Itachi. They do not teach anything about how to survive in the battlefield or on assignment and place more emphasis on theory than in practice. He taught himself how to infiltrate and then escape unscathed. He spent 2 weeks in the prohibited area of the Forest of Death training with a scroll of forbidden seals and who knows how many techniques he learned. Several jounin could not survive 2 weeks alone there. In his possession that left the parchment Yondaime-sama. Have you seen the books he has been reading? They are not something an average genin reads and anyone can see that he is hungry for knowledge. Good point, said the captain, the standard of the academy has fallen considerably. Before a genin was prepared to do C-rank missions, but now they only send them to do pathetic D-rank missions that a regular civilian can do. I do not think he can so easily defeat the Uchiha. Haven't you heard he has found his family scrolls and they are masters at Kaiten moves. Also they say that he even learned some genjutsus of Uchiha Shisui and even Uchiha Mikoto's powerful Raiten. After all the reports say he is a genius. The same reports that say that Uzumaki does not serve to be a shinobi the other Anbu refuted. The board has handled things and has consented to the Uchiha Sharingan simply because he is the last of his clan. Put Uzumaki and Uchiha against each other, give the same descriptions of the terrain and the same tools, and Uzumakis know how to win because Uzumaki occupy the land in their favor and avoid coming into direct conflict unless they have the advantage, whereas the Uchiha overconfidence is conflicted and can barely live, thinking that no one can beat him. You know how arrogant the Uchihas are. You can say what you want, but Uchiha Sasuke is stronger, just wait I believe he is already mid-chunin level. Hiruzen came to office with Jiraiya and after activating a seal of silence from his desk began to speak. "How are things going, sensei?" asked Jiraiya. "It was difficult, but I think we may have evidence against all the council members," said the Sandaime. "But it isn't known whether they acted voluntarily or were controlled by Danzo." "What did you find about Danzo?" questioned Jiraiya. "Nothing yet," replied Hiruzen. "But now that Naruto-kun told me where he is, I can capture him and execute him for treason without problems. The research conducted by Anbu failed to find evidence against Danzo nor anything about Root, but now that we will not be difficult to find evidence." "What about Naruto?" asked Jiraiya. "Yesterday was full session of the council," said Sarutobi. "The civil side proposed him to be executed, while the shinobi side threatened to kill every one of them and their families if they ever suggest that again." Oddly, Himura, Kaharu and Danzo said nothing throughout the session, indicating that they are up to something, but I have no idea what. "A source of my intelligence network told me 2 days ago a message came from Konoha to the feudal lord of the Land of Fire," said Jiraiya. "Today I got the information that the feudal lord is coming and will arrive tomorrow afternoon, so I guess the 3 elders are trying to hold a meeting to decide what to do with Naruto, and they will have the feudal lord on their side." "Why am I not surprised?" Sarutobi muttered, drawing his pipe from a drawer of his desk. "These fools do not know what they are doing." He was tricked by Mizuki. "What about the informants of Orochimaru?" asked Jiraiya. "They've been captured and interrogated by Ibiki and Anko. We have 3 Anbu posing as the 3 leading men of Orochimaru in order not to arouse suspicion among the traitors. Kabuto Yakushi is found to be the right hand of Orochimaru and an excellent medic nin that could rival Tsunade. We were able to get enough information from Kabuto where most of Orochimaru's bases were and how he planned to invade Konoha when we organized Chunin exams. Unfortunately, we have not discovered the base where Orochimaru is now and Shikaku-kun has a plan that could lead us to him." "What?" Jiraiya questioned, interested. "Shikaku-kun suggested that Inoichi use the false memories planted jutsu on Kabuto and then release it," said Sarutobi. "Shikaku-kun suggested simulating a scene of a battle between 3 men and a squadron of Orochimaru's Anbu. The idea is to make Kabuto think that he killed the last Anbu and he would go back to one Orochimaru's bases. Then the Anbu squad would follow Kabuto to the base and then infiltrate it to plant explosives and destroy the seals, while other squads and teams go inside of the base looking for Orochimaru or more of his henchmen. The coordinated attack on the foundations of Orochimaru," smiled Jiraiya. "Good plan. The idea is to end the threat of a Togakur as soon as possible," mused Sarutobi. "Will it work?" asked Jiraiya. "Shikaku-kun thinks there is a 90% success rate," said Sarutobi. 10% error corresponds to the possibility that Kabuto won't take us the base where Orochimaru is. Still other bases would be destroyed and it will be a victory for us and a blow to Orochimaru." "On another note, how's Naruto?" asked Jiraiya. "He is pretty well despite the trauma that was caused him now that he knows that he has the most powerful Biju locked inside him and to know that his own father was one who did it and when I spoke with him, he said he felt betrayed because I didn't tell him who his dad was, but when I explained the enemies his dad made in Iwa and Kumo, that they might come after him, he understood immediately." According to Ibiki-kun who made a psychological analysis, Naruto-kun is emotionally stable since he read the letters that was left by Kushina-chan and Minato-kun, also since he read the diaries of each. Also he has found out about his twin sister Natsumi, who went with Tsunade. Ibiki-kun said he is quite mature for his age. That despite his attitude as a young child his mental mature is above normal. Ibiki-kun has taken an interest in Naruto-kun, making him read a few books and then asking him about them. Ibiki has taken an interest in the Gaki, Jiraiya said smiling. Not only Ibiki, several jounin have taken an interest in Naruto-kun. "Like who?" Jiraiya asked, interested. Pei-8 wants to teach him Kenjutsu, saying that after seeing him with the katana, he knows that Naruto can become a great expert in Kenjutsu. Guy wants to help in Taijutsu training and he wants the opportunity to learn a style of Uzumaki clan scrolls. Shikaku suggested training Naruto-kun with his son as a strategist because he says that Naruto-kun is a genius. Anko-chan wants to teach him and wants to introduce him to it, which is supported by Ibiki-kun. Finally, Asuma-kun wants to take charge of his Futon Jutsu training since he is the only jounin in the village with that affinity. Jiraiya put his hand to the chin to ponder. "Quite interesting, so many people wants to train Naruto to become the ultimate shinobi," Jiraiya said, still staring at the ceiling in a reflective pose. "Anyways, for Naruto-sensei I propose that Shikaku is the best choice and his teammates will be Hyuga Niji and Yamanaka Ino." Interesting idea. At the same time that Hiruzen and Jiraiya were talking in the office, the Anbu infiltrated the building belonging to Root. The first team entered the building once they found a secret entrance to a basement that was connected to 2 tunnels. The mission leader ordered them to wait for the review of the rest of the building and then divided them into 2 groups of 8 Anbu to go through each of the tunnels. The Anbu nodded and walked in the tunnel. 3 root members noticed the intruders, but they were dealt immediately by Anbu. They continued reviewing the building. The leader of the group noticed that the groups were too large and could be easily discovered, ordered them to go in group of 2s, sending each team to review the building while he was guarding the entrance. 15 minutes later the 3 teams returned to the place where the other team was. The leader of the mission report gave an indication of what happened. First floor, free operation, we did not find any documents or evidence, informed the captain of the first team. On the second floor were 5 operations of roots, their bodies were sealed for further study. Several documents were found with some activities of root, but there is nothing that links them to Danzo, reported the second team captain. Third floor, free operation of root, full of traps and alarms that were disabled before filing the floor and activated after the captain reported. The third team found several documents of root activities involving the participation of Danzo and some board members. It was found belonging to a root banking information and documents with contacts within and outside the Land of Fire. We also found evidence of orders to eliminate certain men by Danzo who have refused to participate in business with him, and he ordered some of our ambushes that happened on missions that have resulted in a failure during the year. Is it substantial evidence? Asked the leader of the mission. Affirmative, some documents contain the signature of Danzo and other board members, answered the captain of the third team. Well, which one of you is? Asked the mission leader. One of the operating bases of Root had weapons with poison, answered one of the Anbu. The injuries I have are simple scratches, but I can feel the effects of poison coming into action. Symptoms? Asked the leader. Beginning of dizziness, blurred vision and some headaches, replied another Anbu. Okay, you go with him to bring evidence to Hokage-sama and then escort him to the hospital immediately, ordered the leader as one of the Anbu nodded. The rest of us will go down to investigate and identify the tunnels where they arrive, said the leader of the group. We will divide into teams of 6, leaving 2 here just in case some Root members enter the building. Probably one of the tunnels leading to the root-based operation, and this building serves as a command center, so if you see several operations retire. Sandaime-sama ordered you to avoid conflict with Root at the moment, so obey the order. Any questions? If a group is surprised and has the ability to deal with Danzo at the time, what do we do, attack or flee? Asked an Anbu. Then attack, Danzo, ordered the leader. I will be responsible if the Sandaime-sama asks about. It is better to kill him before he can flee. The Anbu nodded. Hiruzen and Jiraiya spoke of Naruto's and Sasuke's training regimen when the 2 Anbu came in the room. One of the Anbu remarkably uncoordinated. Report, Sarutobi ordered. Hokage-sama, began the Anbu. We infiltrated the building and found several documents confirming acts of betrayal by Danzo and the members of Civil Council. We found 8 operations of Root and they were eliminated and their bodies were sealed in parchment. The Anbu took 3 scrolls and placed it on the table of Sandaime. Where are the rest of the Anbu? Said the Sandaime. They found a secret entrance to a basement that connects 2 tunnels. The mission leader ordered an investigation and divided the operations into 2 groups of 6 to investigate each tunnel, leaving 2 Anbus at the entrance of the building, and should someone enter the Anbu would take care of them, explained the Anbu, to what Sarutobi nodded. What happened to him? Sarutobi asked, directing his attention to the Anbu who was having problems staying upright. Light case of poisoning, replied the Anbu. He has a superficial cut on his right forearm by a poisoned kunai. Go to the hospital at the base immediately, ordered Sarutobi. I do not want his condition to be worsened. Hi, Hokage-sama, said the Anbu, and then they disappeared with a shunshin. Sarutobi took the parchment with the green symbol that indicated it had the possession of important documents inside and opened it to remove the documents. He began to look through each of the documents, and Jiraiya noted that he saw a smile growing on Sarutobi's face, although sometimes the Sandaime frowned. Well? Asked Jiraiya. We have the damn traitor now. I hope that the Anbu don't kill him, because when they find Danzo I will personally torture him myself and then execute him. What did he do? Asked Jiraiya, surprised to see Sarutobi wanting to torture and kill Danzo. See for yourself, mused Hiruzen, handing the documents to Jiraiya. May Kami have mercy on his soul, said Jiraiya as he read through the documents. Be better, because I do not think I will. 0-0. When Naruto was discharged from the hospital medical, he was accompanied by the Hokage. As they walked through the streets of Konoha, Naruto noticed that people, especially shinobi, greeted him while he walked, either with a nod or wave of the hand, and showed some respect for him. Naruto, obviously puzzled, asked the Sandaime why the shinobi treated him so well. Sarutobi told him that after stealing the scroll from the Hokage mansion and spending 2 weeks studying the Forbidden Scroll and training in the Forest of Death and learning 2 jutsus that was able to destroy the Beetle Emperor, it was greatly appreciated by many shinobi. The Sandaime told him what happened since the incident created a great respect, especially after the public execution of Mizuki, and he revealed the truth that he tricked him to steal the Forbidden Scroll. Naruto after hearing the explanation was very happy and every time someone greeted him he returned it. Unfortunately not everyone changed their mind about Naruto, as several civilians showed more hatred when they saw Naruto and others didn't look because they feared that Naruto would attack. Naruto though saddened to receive such feedback, decided to just ignore them and then decided to show everyone that he was not the devil they say he is, but he is a proud shinobi of Konoha. Sarutobi looked sideways at Naruto as they walked and was pleasantly surprised by the reaction of the blonde who was not intimidated by the cruel eyes of certain villagers. Seeing Naruto reacting to the good and bad opinions of the people of Konoha, Sarutobi wondered what in fact triggered the change from the old to the new Naruto. Chances were he had learned the secrets that had been hidden from him. In the end it does not matter, thought Hiruzen glancing at Naruto. Naruto-kun changed for the better. Sarutobi remembered what happened an hour ago when he went to pick up Naruto from the hospital, bringing him his usual orange jumpsuit to wear it. The reaction was unthinkable, Naruto to have a tick in his right eye to see the suit and then started making hand seals for a Kaiten jutsu, which Sarutobi recognized, and if he had not stopped, the hospital would have been burned completely by the magnitude of jutsu. Sarutobi ordered Anbu to go in search of new clothes and made a mental note to never put the orange jumpsuit in front of Naruto. When he returned with the clothes the Anbu brought, Naruto looked at them critically and then nodded to give approval and then put them on. When he came out the bathroom wearing his new clothes, Sarutobi raised an eyebrow at the new image of blonde. Nico, the Anbu who was in search of clothes, said it looked good and when the girls would see him they would go crazy for him. And Nico was right because when he walked through the village, the young girls saw Naruto dressed entirely in black, with bandaged Anbu-type pants on the shins, a black sleeveless t-shirt set, with his jacket open, a katana was strapped on his right shoulder, and the scroll of his parents hung diagonally from his left shoulder to right waist, blushed as could be. Generating more laughter from mild blushing Sarutobi and Naruto saw the young hearts in the eyes of fangirls he had only seen when girls saw Sasuke. Taking pity on the young Naruto, since he could not be more uncomfortable, Sarutobi decided not to make any comment and decided to save it for later as a weapon to ridicule Naruto. Jiraiya, who was still hiding, saw the pair walking through the village, could not be happier because they saw that Naruto was a goldmine to do research to write his next book, which already had a possible name, Icha. The blonde warrior and the Uchiha, and a possible plot of two young warriors who becomes friend after a battle where they were the only survivors and decided to wander the world to find their soulmate. They would get laid so much and seduce the girls with their charisma and good looks. Definitely a bestseller. 10 minutes later the Sandaime and Naruto arrived at Hokage Tower and went to the office of Hiruzen. Just as what happened in the village, the shinobi looked at Naruto with a new respect and saluted him as the young blonde nodded slightly and raising his hand. Upon entering the office, Sarutobi sat in his comfortable desk chair and lit his pipe to relax with the pleasing aroma and flavor of snuff. Naruto on the other hand sat on the chair in front of the Hokage and took one of Sarutobi's pipes and lit it. "Naruto-kun," said Sarutobi. "We have to discuss some issues regarding your sensei." "What, Jiji?" asked Naruto. "First I want to inform you that at an extraordinary meeting with the council decreed the shinobi bestow the rank of genin in Konoha," Sarutobi said, sparking a big smile on. "Naruto, because of your accomplishments since the incident with the scrolls, since your education at academy was cut short by the civil council, who pressured teachers not to teach you unanimously, we thought it was only fair to grant you the rank, despite that you failed the exam. Then there is the fact that the information you have given us about Mizuki and Danzo gave us the necessary guidelines to find and capture several traitors of Konoha, among which is largely civil council, my advisor. I cannot give you the details because it is confidential information which is allowed only for Jounin and board members." "No problem," Jiji-sama said. "Though I would like to know what will happen to them." "Well, tomorrow in a plenary session of the Council of Konoha, where the feudal lord will attend, several Jounin will give him the evidence and capture the corrupt and traitorous members of the council," said Sarutobi. "A group of Anbu is currently invading Root facilities." "Root? Jiji, what's that?" asked Naruto. "The paramilitary organization led by Danzo," replied Hiruzen. "The building where you went and saw Danzo with my advisors and Anbu, Root was in the building that functioned as their command center. Thanks to you, you told us this building, several Anbu were able to infiltrate and gain valuable information to catch or convict Danzo. We also may be able to find 2 other facilities of Root." "Wow, never thought that building was so important. I guess I had luck on my side." "You're right, Naruto-kun, but do not think it is only by luck that you saw Danzo, because it requires skill to enter a building for shelter without getting caught, but that you've already demonstrated to be able to enter the village several times in 2 weeks without the shinobi finding you. You have a great gift in infiltration, Naruto-kun." Naruto was embarrassed by the compliment of Sarutobi and scratched his neck nervously. A habit that he had obtained long ago and apparently has not yet been overcome. Sarutobi cleared his throat again and adopted a serious pose, cage mode Naruto had called it for some years. Naruto-kun, this is a crucial issue. The feudal of Konohagakure will attend the council meeting tomorrow. My advisors and Danzo informed him behind my back what happened to the scroll, and according to the information they also told the feudal that I'm getting senile and they do not think I can continue working as a Hokage. They also said that the Kyuubi was overcoming you and I did not want to solve the problem. Pure lies, but the feudal do not know that they are. The idea is to put one of my advisors or Danzo as Hokage to possibly manipulate you or even make you want to leave or train you as a weapon. Naruto opened his eyes, caught and squeezed the handles of the chair with both hands. Sarutobi could see the blonde young man was frightened by the claim of the two elders and Danzo. You do not have to worry, Naruto-kun, because we have everything under control. Naruto thought for a moment and nodded. An even more serious note, what do you plan on doing about Natsumi? I don't know yet, I'm thinking about visiting her soon, answered Naruto. I hope she had a better life than I did, seeing that she has the yin of the Kyuubi inside her. You don't have to worry about that, from what I heard she has been trained by Terumi Mei, a very fine Kinauchi, and you might even see her in the Chunin exams, if you make it that far. Disclaimer: I do not own Naruto. All I own is some of the arcs that may appear in this fic. The Naruto series belongs to Masashi Kishimoto, but if it did belong to me, Sasuke would have been into more girls and Itachi would have been a lot more badass. Naruto is not a demigod or a super invincible and powerful. In the long run be better than the Yondaime, but will not start to defeat S-rank shinobi immediately. Will gain power quickly but not divine intervention or anything like that. Naruto train and train and train almost 24/7 before starting to kick ass for the fic to make any sense. The art of war? Asked Sarutobi, seeing Naruto reading a novel. It's a book of strategy, Jiji, informed Naruto as he looked up and saw Jiji. Sun Tzu was a general of what was formerly known as China a long time ago, and his work is considered the best existing playbook to becoming a great leader. The topics are so broad they can be applied to almost anything, yet the details discussed are applicable to every scenario you can think of. Sun Tzu covers all as he describes the proper course of action to take in all scopes, from the entirety of the war to the relations with the individual soldier. Everything from maneuvering troops to the proper use of various classes of spies is covered in the book. Also, it provides methods for beating your opponent by focusing on Taoistic beliefs of peace. In other words, it teaches you how to beat your opponent without even having to fight them. In another book I found out that Sun Tzu's strategy inspired great figures such as Napoleon, who was an emperor of the Western lands in ancient times, Machiavelli, who was a writer and philosopher from a place called Italy, and Mao Zedong, who was a Chinese general who became the ruler of that place. I never thought I'd see the day I'd be learning about history from you. Thanks for the book anyway, I'll read it later to see if it's as good as you say. Yes, it is, although it's quite repetitive, replied Naruto. Here's one of the most important quotes in the history of the world. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. It seems that trip in the Forbidden Forest has helped you become more serious about being a shinobi, smiled Hiruzen while he ruffled Naruto's hair. Naruto-kun, I have something important to tell you regarding the members of your genin team. Normally you would be put on a team of the best, the top kunoichi of the class, and the top shinobi of class. And as the notes of the academy say, you are the dead last, which would put you on a team consisting of Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. Hearing the names of the members of his team, Naruto rolled his eyes and then mumbled few sacred words. No need to protest, Naruto-kun, because as I said, under normal conditions you would go on that team, said Sarutobi to Naruto, looked up expectantly. But this year is different, and each genin will go with the genins and jounin that best fit their talents. Who is going to be on my team then? Asked Naruto. Naruto-kun, you'll find that out when the teams are announced on Monday. Just make sure that you are at the academy on time for once. The professor smiled at Naruto, not trying to ruin the surprise. Naruto closed his eyes a little and looked at Sarutobi with a face full of suspicion, then sighed. Well, Naruto-kun, that's all I wanted to speak to you about, announced Sarutobi. Tomorrow morning an Anbu will come to your house and bring you to the council meeting. Now you can go do whatever you want. If you train, try not to do the jutsus from the scroll because they are too destructive, and do not try to impersonate anyone because you'll have an Anbu following you and have orders to stop you if you do. You're no fun, Jiji, said Naruto, faking grief. Do you have money to pay for the damage that you will cause to one of the training camps? Sarutobi asked. In fact, I do have some, countered a smiling Naruto. When I saw the initial amount in each bank account my parents left for me, I almost had a heart attack by the number of zeros. I swear I never seen such a large number. I think that with all the money I have I could buy a small country. I had forgotten about that, Sarutobi said. No matter, you can't train with the forbidden jutsus you learned from the scrolls to avoid any collateral damage. I recommend you take advantage of enjoying a few days off because once you become a genin, you won't have too many days to chill. Hi. Here's your hit I-8, Sarutobi said opening a drawer and then threw it at Naruto who caught it without trouble. Now you're officially a genin of Konoha, so act as such. What, that's all? Naruto asked as he mocked Gigi by taking a puff from the pipe. I don't get a ceremony. I didn't even get an encouraging speech, a hugger, and I'm proud of you, Naruto-kun. You're starting to make me regret this, Naruto, Sarutobi said with a vein in the forehead, and Naruto knew he was really starting to bother him. Gigi, come on, you don't have to be angry. You should relax a little, you know. Maybe create a few Kage Bunshin to do the tedious work of dealing with all the paperwork you have. Will you relax by reading those perverted books you love so much? I cannot just leave a Kage Bunshin to do my work, Naruto-kun answered Sarutobi. The feudal lord will arrive any moment and it would be a lack of respect if I was not there in person. Whatever you say, Gigi, Naruto said just before an Anbu appeared in the office via Shunshin, putting Naruto on guard, but he relaxed when he saw who it was. Okage-sama, we have seen the feudal lord and his delegation. They are on their way to Konoha, an Anbu said. It is estimated that he will be here in an hour. Isagi-san, thank you so much. You can return to your post. Hi. Anbu replied and was about to leave, but a hand on his arm stopped him. He looked to his left and saw Naruto holding his arm. Hey, Anbu-san, how did you just magically appear in here? I always was curious to learn how Jounin and Anbu were able to do that. The Sandame and Anbu looked at Naruto who nodded, knowing that the blonde would not quit asking until he was told how to do the technique. It's called a Shunshin, answered the Anbu. You have to make the seal of the tiger, which later once you get stronger you can do it without any hand seals. Next, draw upon a bit of chakra and picture where you want to appear. For example, if you feel the chakra of people who are walking down the street, you can Shunshin near them. Make the tiger seal, then picture where I want to go, then mold your chakra, repeated Naruto. Okay, I think I have it. He made the tiger seal and molded his chakra and disappeared, leaving a trail of a mini tornado of wind and fire. Whoa! Exclaimed the puzzled Anbu. That's pretty good for his first attempt. He molded his Fuetan chakra and Kaiten chakra into it though. Sarutobi said. Okage-sama, I suppose you realize that 2 types of elements is a requirement for a ninja for the Jounin rank, but for Naruto to already know 2 is surprising. I know, Usagi-san, it is quite unusual for a shinobi to have 2 elemental affinities so young, but it is not impossible. You're correct, Hokage-sama. With your permission I would like to retire. Before the Anbu could go, he felt the presence of a chakra in the office and looked at the side to see Naruto appear in by Shunshin. What struck him was that he had his hit I-8 covering his left eye, nose shirt up to cover the bottom of his face, and a book in his left hand which he was reading. Naruto, why don't you go training or something or go to eat at Ichiraku? Said the Sandame, a vein in his forehead and a tick in his right eye. Did you say something, Hokage-sama? Naruto asked looking up from the book. Out. Sarutobi shouted as he took a bowl off his desk and threw it at Naruto, who tilted his head to one side to dodge it. Gigi, I really think you should listen to my suggestion. Smiled Naruto as he saw a second vein appear on Sarutobi's forehead. I'd better go before you have a heart attack. See ya. Naruto disappeared in a swirl of wind and fire, leaving an angry Hokage mumbling something about a damned blonde gaki. Usagi in turn could not stand the urge to return to his squadron to tell them what happened. Usagi-san, demanded Sarutobi to the Anbu. Not a word of this, is that clear? Hi, Hokage-sama, replied the Anbu, who bowed and then disappeared in a cloud of smoke to avoid further punishment. Naruto will be my downfall, Sarutobi said, massaging his temple, and then took the book that Naruto gave him. Good thing that Konohamaru has not tried something stupid today. Right after saying those words, the office door opened to a boy of 8 or 9 years with a sort of helmet on his head and a ridiculous scarf almost 2 meters long entered the office armed with a shuriken. Old man, I will finally beat you today. The child cried and then tripped over the scarf and fell to the ground, hitting his head and losing consciousness. Sarutobi looked up. Why, Kami, why? Sarutobi asked. What have I done to deserve such treatment? After disappearing outside the Hokage tower via Shunshin, Naruto began to wander through the village to kill time. He thought of going to Ichiraku, but he really was not hungry and the doctor forbade him not to eat much ramen, so the visit to Ichiraku was out of the question. Training crossed his mind, nevertheless the doctor advised him to rest as much as possible before he began training again and said that next week it was safe to return to training without any problems happening with his muscles. He thought about going to the library to find an interesting book, but most likely he would end up reading about a jutsu and then leave to train for the thrill of it, which was forbidden. So with nothing to do, he just wandered to kill time or find something that would attract his attention. Walking through the world without any worry, Naruto did not notice the presence of 2 of his fellow academy students, of which one who was his old love of course, who argued that she would get married to her precious Asuka-kun. Ino listened without giving much importance to the babblings of her best friend Sakura once she noticed the new and improved Naruto. "Is that Naruto?" asked Ino, watching Naruto, who was walking calmly with his hands in his pockets. "Do not change the subject, Ino Buta," Sakura said with a shrill voice. "Sasuke is mine." "Shut up, Sakura," Ino said, ignoring the pink-haired as she followed Naruto. "Who are you looking at so much?" "Naruto, I think." "Naruto Baka," exclaimed Sakura, seeing where Ino looked and saw a ninja dressed in black who had sun-kissed blonde hair and wore a katana on his back and a large parchment. "That is not Naruto Baka." "Yes it is," replied Ino as she started to follow Naruto. "Where are you going?" asked Sakura. "Isn't it obvious? I'm going to follow Naruto." "Why are you going to follow the Baka, Ino Buta?" asked Sakura. "I'm going to question him about the Mizuki public execution." "All I heard Ino was that it was the first public performance in years. I heard my father speaking to my mother and said that Naruto was the one who stole the scroll and that Mizuki was the one who had told him where to find it." "Do not lie, Ino. Naruto Baka could have never infiltrated the Hokage mansion." "My father would not lie," Ino said seriously. "He is a jounin and a well-respected shinobi for your info." "Then he must have been mistaken," retorted Sakura. "Think what you want," replied a bothered Ino, bothered by the insult to her father and breaking in the direction that Naruto went. Sakura frowned, and after standing there for a while, she turned to go in search of her beloved Sasuke-kun. Naruto, unaware that he was being followed by Ino, walked the streets of Konoha aimlessly until he met up with 4 of his companions from the academy. "Naruto?" Kiba asked while smelling the air and turning around to find a Naruto who was not wearing his lousy orange attire. Shikamaru, Choji and Shino turned around to see the new Naruto. Shikamaru muttered problematic, Choji nodded in approval and continued to eat his chips, and Shino raised an eyebrow while remaining silent. "What happened to you, Naruto?" Kiba asked, looking at Naruto from head to toe. "I needed a new look," Naruto said jokingly. "You do not have to lie, Naruto, we all know what happened," sighed Shikamaru. "Kiba told us you were found in the prohibited area of the Forest of Death. He was the one who found your essence." "Besides, all of our parents told us what happened," said Shikamaru. "Mendakus. What are you all doing now?" Naruto asked, trying to change the subject. "Nothing, relaxing before we return to the academy on Monday to see which teams we are going to be on," Kiba said, smiling. "Sorry for you, Naruto, since you have another year at the academy." "Kiba," Shino said in a somber. "Your statement is illogical and incorrect. Naruto has a hit I-8, which implies that he has also graduated." Kiba looked at Naruto's forehead and noticed the hit I-8 that the blonde wore. "Who did you steal that from?" "You are more stupid than you look, Kiba. It is obvious that Naruto did not steal the hit I-8, Hokage-sama certainly gave it to him." Mendakus. 2 windblown aromas blew to Kiba and he began sniffing the air. "Someone has been following you, Naruto," Kiba informed, and Akamaru barked to confirm it. "I knew that," said Naruto. "I felt 2 people apart from the Anbu that were concealing their presence, but I did not bother to see who they were. I did not feel any bad intentions of any of the 2 that followed me, so I decided not to worry too much about them." "Problematic," Shikamaru said as he was laying on the ground looking at the clouds. "You'd better come out because we already know you are there," Kiba said aloud, to which Naruto sighed. Shikamaru rolled his eyes, Choji continued eating, and Shino raised a conspicuous eyebrow. After what was said by Kiba, they heard an eep and a damn dog breath, and the women identified themselves as genin by the tone of their voice. Moments later, Ino and Hinata came out of hiding to face the group. "Ino, Hinata, what were you 2 doing following me?" asked Naruto. "Why do you think that it was me who was following you, Baka?" Ino asked defiantly. "Your presence is the same as one of the people that were following me," said Naruto lazily. "I was not following you," lied Ino, looking away. "If you say so," said Naruto, focusing his attention on Hinata. "Hinata, why was it that you were following me?" Hinata blushed at the attention Naruto centered onto her and tried to explain, but the words would not come. The new Naruto made her further nervous than the old. And with the new look she felt he was 1,000 times better than the last. Not that the former was bad in her eyes, but this new Naruto was. "Are you okay, Hinata?" Naruto asked when he saw the Hyuga heiress was noticeably uncomfortable, almost as if she was ill. The other 5 genin rolled their eyes to the stupidity of Naruto, who did not realize that Hinata was nervous by his gaze. Naruto approached Hinata, raised his hit-eye and pressed his forehead against the Hyuga heiress's forehead. "You do not appear to have a fever," questioned Naruto. "Are you okay?" "Hi." Hinata said before losing consciousness and falling forward. Naruto caught Hinata before she could fall on the ground and looked nervously at the Hyuga heir and then to the 5 other genin. "What happened? Did I do something wrong?" Naruto asked nervously. "Despite the change, you're still a Baka, you know that," Ino said. "She will be fine. Just give her time to wake up." "Okay," answered Naruto, holding Hinata's waist. What should I do?" Just pick her up and we will lead you to the Hyuga residence, informed Shino. Problematic as ever. Okay, answered Naruto as he carried her bridal style. Just follow us, stated Kiba starting to walk before the others followed. Noting that Ino was still standing behind them, Naruto stopped to talk. Are you not coming, Ino? Questioned Naruto. Why should I go with you, Baka? If you did not want to come you just had to say no, said Naruto. I can see why Sasuke doesn't show interest in you, you are too problematic. I could not have said it any better, sighed Shikamaru. Kiba smiled at the comment from Naruto. Chaoji, as always, continued to eat a bit while trying to laugh and eat at the same time, and Shino raised an eyebrow yet again. Ino frowned at the comment made by Naruto. If Hinata was not in his arms she would have beaten him to a bloody pulp. Seeing the 5 shinobi and Kunoichi going farther and farther, Ino yelled for them to wait and ran after her fellow academy classmates. The 7 genin took Hinata toward the complex, but on the way Naruto noticed that Hinata started to move. So the group headed to a nearby park where they left Hinata sitting on the grass and resting on the trunk of a tree. When Hinata woke up she saw that she was with her 6 fellow genin not knowing what happened until she saw Naruto, she remembered what had happened and began to blush madly. What happened with the scroll incident? Asked a curious Kiba, who broke the silence. I cannot talk about it, answered Naruto looking at Kiba seriously. Jiji has forbidden me to speak about the predicament that I was put in. Jiji? Questioned Kiba. Hokage-sama. Naruto, that is so disrespectful. You have to call the Hokage-sama. Hokage-sama. It's a show of respect. But he's like my grandfather, since I can remember I've known him as Jiji. It does not matter what you call him, sighed Kiba. Is it true that it was you stole the forbidden scroll of seals? How did you know that? Asked Naruto. In the public execution of Mizuki said what happened, cut in Shikamaru. Mizuki hoodwinked me by saying it was a secret way to become a genin for those who had failed the first exam, and because I was the only one that failed, I had to do it alone. He gave me instructions on where to find the parchment. I arrived at Jiji's mansion, watched the Anbu patterns of patrolling the place. I found out that I had a window of 37 seconds to enter through one of the windows. When I went in, I came across Jiji, beat him, found the scroll and left. Stop, 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 stop. Kiba exclaimed raising his hand. You defeated the Hokage. Now I know you are lying. Naruto looked at Kiba with a calm expression. Do you think I'm lying? Asked Naruto. Of course you're lying, yelled Kiba. You're saying you beat the Hokage, the most powerful shinobi in the village. It is not really that big of deal, Kiba replied, Naruto waving. I just used my Cage Killer. Cage Killer? Asked Shino. Which move is that? Warwick no Jutsu, Naruto said as if nothing, and the 6 genin recalled Iruka's reaction to that move. Shikamaru muttered problematic. Kiba held his nose to prevent from bleeding. Ino was furious but could not attack Naruto because he was busy holding Hinata, who was about to faint again. Chaoji continued eating potato chips but now had a slight blush on the cheeks. Shino was Shino. Iji is a pervert, stated Naruto, he fell for that perverted jutsu. Pillar Kaji, a name quite logical, Shino said, since the jacket covered a portion of his face, no one was able to see the trickle of blood coming from his nose. Okay, I believe you, said Kiba as tried to remove the image of the blonde's naked Warwick no Jutsu. He looked at Ino and wondered if she would have a body like the woman in the technique. Kiba bad, do not think of her like that. And then what happened next, Naruto? Chaoji asked. Well, after I escaped I arrived at the location where Mizuki told me to wait, said Naruto. I started training with the first technique of the scroll and in a few hours I had perfected it. There is one problem though, Naruto-kun lazily replied the lazy ninja. That scroll is filled with dangerous genjutsus. Do you honestly think we believe you were able to learn a powerful technique within a few hours? In fact, I learned multiple techniques. I learned Kaiten, Futon and all of the other non-elementary jutsus. Then I began training with clan jutsus such as the Shodai's Mokuten, which was pretty hard to grasp. I know Suiten, Doten and Raiten jutsus, Juin jutsu and a few Fuin jutsu. Naruto omitted the part that he copied every jutsu in another scroll for further study. If Jiji found out about the other scroll he was sure he would have to give it to him. Another part that he didn't tell them was about the scroll from his parents and was glad none of them had asked for the scroll that he had on, but he was sure that eventually one of them would ask about the scroll and the katana he was clearly wearing on his back. Naruto, my father said you defeated a 50-foot bow using only 2 jutsu in the Forest of Death and then you were able to defeat a giant beetle emperor with only 2 jutsus. I didn't defeat a clone, my Kage Bunshin was the one who did it. Oh, yelled Sasuke. Naruto rolled his eyes and saw Sasuke, who had Sakura trailing behind him like the annoying fangirl she was. Do you need something, team? Naruto asked, starting to get mad. I have to talk to you, dope, Sasuke as stoic as ever. I'm all ears, Uchiha, Naruto muttered, trying his best to restrain himself from hitting Sasuke. I know about your family scroll, and I've been told it contains many powerful jutsus inside of it, Sasuke said looking at the scroll on the side of Naruto. I want you give me that scroll. The six who stood with Naruto looked at Sasuke and then Naruto and the scroll that was set aside. Naruto tried with all his strength not to attack the cocky Uchiha. Why should I surrender the scroll to you Uchiha? Naruto asked looking at Sasuke angrily. Because I need it, said the Uchiha. I'm already stronger than you, and that scroll will be more useful in the hands of a capable shinobi like myself. That was the straw that broke the camel. Naruto began to emanate Kai which resulted in Akamaru hiding in Kiba's jacket and Shino's bugs to begin acting strange. The six genin accompanying Naruto became nervous when they saw that the blonde was squeezing his left fist. Uchiha, Haruno, Naruto said. You two have 5 seconds to withdraw if you want to leave this place with 2 functioning legs. HN smirked the arrogant Uchiha. 1, 2, stated Naruto as he started counting. Sasuke maybe you should go suggested Shikamaru. 5, Naruto said after finishing the count he disappeared from the view of the genin. The Nanbu could only see what happened in just a second. As soon as Naruto disappeared and hit Sasuke hard with the elbow to the solar plexus, causing Sasuke to bend a little after the impact and his air of the lungs. After doing a roundhouse kick that connected to the jaw of Sasuke, Naruto sent the Uchiha into the dirt about 5 feet from where he stood. One of the Anbu sighed and reached into his pocket for more tickets and delivered them to another Anbu who was with an outstretched hand and laughing as low as possible so no one could hear him. The genin only saw Naruto disappear and reappear in front of Sasuke who was on the floor a few feet from the position where he was initially. The 6 genin accompanying Naruto could not be more astonished. Even Ino did not care that Naruto hit Sasuke, she just gasped looking back at Naruto who didn't take his eyes off of Sasuke. Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled running alarmed that her precious Sasuke-kun was actually losing. I told you to go, but you had to be so damned arrogant Naruto said angrily and then turn around, the next time it happens I will not be so lenient with you Uchiha. Sasuke's eyes were open in shock. He did not even know what happened, he just felt air escaping from his lungs and he had a sharp pain in his jaw. He spat some blood and saw 2 of his teeth in the small pool of blood on the ground. Sakura was trying to help and ask him if he was okay, but Sasuke ignored her to have in your head the idea of making the damn dope pay and then take the parchment and then kill Itachi. After much effort, Sasuke was able to stand. Sakura tried to help, greatly worried about her Sasuke-kun, but the Uchiha just pushed her steps aside and not hinder it. Sasuke felt his pride trampled by the dope and that made him furious. People crowded around the place and began to grumble about the Uchiha being humiliated, which only angered him even more. Naruto, still with his back to Sasuke, glanced back and saw that Sasuke was able to stand and pulled out a katana ready to use against him. Smirked Sasuke as he activated his Sharingan. Sasuke ran towards with great speed, Naruto was unable to keep up with him, Sasuke hit him with the back of his katana in his stomach. Sasuke then grabbed Naruto by the collar of his shirt, raising him in the air and threw him into a tree. Bankatonsen Butai Kati Akakijutsuchi yelled Naruto as meteors came out of the ground flying at Sasuke. Chuckled Sasuke, Naruto fell for his trap. Sasuke dodged the meteors fairly easy, but he didn't know that it was just a distraction as Naruto punched him in the face, which sent the Uchiha flying. I should have never underestimated this dope. Sasuke wiped the blood off his lips, then he saw Naruto running at him, Naruto swung, but Sasuke easily dodged it. Naruto kicked at Sasuke, but Sasuke expertly jumped up and sent Naruto into the dirt with a spinning kick. Naruto saw Sasuke throw a kunai, which got stuck in a tree just inches away from the head of Choji, who dropped the bag of chips off of instincts. You're trying to kill someone here, Uchiha Naruto said angrily at the actions of Sasuke and his disregard for the people who were watching the fight. Silence dope, if the fat-ass walrus doesn't have the ability to dodge a simple kunai, he should not even be a shinobi. Choji began to shake in anger and Shikamaru had to make a great effort by using his main cage no jutsu just to subdue his companion from launching an attack against the Uchiha. Although the thought of letting Choji attack Sasuke made him smile, however he decided to retain his friend because there was no way his chubby friend would be able to take Sasuke on. Hiba, being the opportunist that he was, pulled out a petite journal and began taking bets between the Naruto and Sasuke fight. Most of the civilians, which greatly outnumbered the shinobi, bet big amounts of money on the Uchiha, Sakura being his biggest fan, wagered the most money. The Jounin and Chunin, meanwhile, staked their money on Naruto, knowing that the blonde would end up victorious. The amount of money that Kiba had raised in such a short amount of time brought a fierce smile to his face as he calculated the enormous amount of money that he would receive if Naruto were to be the victor in this bout. Shino, in his classic gangster attitude of the Abiram, approached Kita and asked for a percentage of the profits or he would tell Tsume about what he's doing. The Inyazuka paled and nodded at the idea. Raiden Raikou Dorigen Bakuha, a dragon made of lightning, appeared and shot a blast at Sasuke. Sasuke tried to escape, but it caught him on his leg. Sasuke screamed in pain, but didn't have time to worry about the injury as he saw Naruto running at him. However, Naruto stopped running. Instead, Naruto drew out his katana, put his left foot over his right with his knees slightly bent, leaving his body askew. His katana was being lifted by his fist over his head. The Anbu and Haid, who was also at the sight, raised an eyebrow at the strange position, and thanks to his trained eye knew it would be quite lethal if it made contact. Before he launched an attack against Sasuke, Naruto took 2 steps and then disappeared. Nishiki Gatatsu, Naruto said, falling from the sky toward Sasuke, who just stood there. What happened left all those present jaws practically on the floor. When Gatatsu Nishiki made contact, it left a crater about 2 meters in diameter. The shinobi were more surprised to feel all that chakra Naruto used. Luckily, the young Uchiha he jumped out of the way. Time to end this. The next attack took no time at all. Sasuke blurred in a rush of movement and slammed a fist into the blonde's palm, which Naruto stuck out to stop him. Naruto sprung toward Sasuke and he managed to spin out of the way of the attack, but not from his retaliation. Naruto's leg came up and hit Sasuke in the ribs, causing the Uchiha to crouch in pain. Naruto threw his fist into Sasuke's face. The Uchiha caught it and twisted his wrist. The young blonde tried again, and Sasuke repeated his last move. Naruto lifted his leg and kicked the surviving Uchiha in the stomach. Sasuke let go of his wrists as he stumbled backwards. Barely able to stand, Sasuke fought off the disorientation of the hit. He reached in his ninja bag and threw a shuriken. It pierced the arm of the Uzumaki. Blood poured. Uncaring, he pulled the shuriken out and flung it at Sasuke, who quickly knocked it down with a shuriken of his own. Sasuke quickly darted with katana in hand, but instead of going after Naruto, he went after Choji. Realizing this, Naruto quickly intercepted the attack with a punch to Sasuke's face. Instead of being the real Sasuke, it was just a bunshin. The real Uchiha was in the sky falling down towards Naruto. The Anbu, realizing that Naruto wasn't going to be able to move out the way, quickly moved in the air and stopped Sasuke's momentum. Uchiha Sasuke, you are under arrest for attempted murder of a fellow genin, instructed an Anbu as they disappeared off with Sasuke. Naruto cried Ino and Hinata as they ran over to Naruto, who was on the ground sweating in disbelief. I told you, Ino pig, Naruto will never be as great as Sasuke, cheered Sakura. Shut up, Sakura, yelled Ino, getting upset. I'm sorry to say this, Ino-chan, but her statement, even though foolish, it has some truth to it. Sasuke is much better than Naruto mentally, however the physical aspect they are basically even, stated Shino. There's no way in the physical aspect that they are even, argued and upset Kiba, who didn't get as much money as he wanted. Sasuke Baka had to cheat just to beat Naruto when they were battling each other one-on-one. Naruto was kicking his butt. Warfare is based on deception. What does that mean, Shino-kun? Questioned Choji as he finished eating the last chip in his bag. The saying basically means that to be effective in war you must deceive the enemy at all times. You have to trick the enemy into believing you have different intentions than you actually have. At first I was confused, now I'm totally lost, sighed Kiba. Maybe I can explain it better, stated Shikamaru. It basically means if you are smart, appear to be stupid in front of the enemy. Though effective, appear to be ineffective. That makes no sense at all, mused Kiba. If you are smart, why would you want to act stupid? That just seems cheating to me. As I analyzed the battle, Naruto allowed his emotions to cloud his thoughts. Nevertheless, he tricked you, as all of you should know. Sasuke is an Uchiha and has the Sharingan, which allows the user to copy a technique that it sees. Uzumaki, Naruto, we need you in the Hokage's office, immediately ordered an Anbu that appeared in thin air. When Naruto appeared in the Hokage's office, he found them in a particular scene. Sarutobi was drinking a glass of sake with a huge smile on his face, and an old man around Sarutobi's age, rather thin, despite muttering something about the money he lost, he had a smile on his face and took small sip sake. When Sarutobi saw Naruto, he smiled even more. Naruto-kun, come on in, the Daimyo Dono wants to meet you, Sarutobi said, gesturing with his hand for Naruto to come closer, who obeyed. Daimyo Dono, I present to you Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto. Naruto-kun, meet the Daimyo of Konohagakure. Pleased to meet you, Namikaze-san, the Daimyo said with a smile. It is an honor to meet you also, Daimyo Dono, Naruto said, bowing. No need for such formality, Namikaze-san, exclaimed the Daimyo. Please, can you take a seat so we can talk about the various exploits Hiruzen-kun has told me about? Naruto sat on the chair next to the Daimyo and looked at Sarutobi, who was smiling from ear to ear. What would you care to know, Daimyo Dono? Asked Naruto. Start from the beginning, Naruto-kun, said the Daimyo. I want to know the life of the son of Minato and Kushina, the unsung hero of all of Konohagakure, along with your sister Natsumi. Do you know her? Stated Naruto, looking up curiously. Yes, I do, she's become a capable Kinauchi under Mei, who is the newly appointed Mizuki. I don't know if you know this or not, the reason why you were given the scroll is because as a tradition in the Uzumaki clan is that the girl always possesses the Kekkei Genkai of both of her parents. I read a book about Kekkei Genkai, what kind of Kekkei Genkai does she possess? Itsumi possesses Futen and Rantan both from the Uzumaki clan, however it is still unknown which bloodline she has from your father. From what I heard she is the number 3 genin, just ahead of you. Wow, but I bet I can still kick her ass, joked Naruto, causing both the daimyo and Sarutobi to laugh. Enough about her, tell me about the life of the only son of the legendary Minato-san. Okay, smiled Naruto as he began to retell his past. Disclaimer: I do not own Naruto. All I own is some of the arcs that may appear in this fic. The Naruto series belongs to Masashi Kishimoto, but if it did belong to me, Sasuke would have been into more girls and Itachi would have been a lot more badass. Naruto is not a demigod or a super invincible and powerful. In the long run he will be better than the Yondaime, but will not start to defeat S-rank shinobi immediately. Will gain power quickly but not divine intervention or anything like that. Naruto train and train and train almost 24/7 before starting to kick ass for the fic to make any sense. Danzo, Homura and Kaharu, together with most of the civil council, could not be any happier. Thanks to the statement that was sent to feudal, they managed to get a full session of the Council of Konoha to attempt to once and for all get rid of Sarutobi and then make Naruto a weapon for Konoha, something Danzo wanted for years. What they did not know is that the Hokage, the feudal and the ninja council present knew what they had planned and just acted as if they were ignorant of their claims. After all, the art of war is based on deception, Sarutobi said in a secret meeting that took place earlier in the morning to avoid any suspicion. The feudal turned, just wanting to see the faces of traitors when they were discovered in the session. After reading the large amount of crimes that Sarutobi showed that Danzo committed against Konoha and the Fire Country, he was angry and told Sarutobi to do whatever he wanted with each of the traitors, as long as they were executed publicly for their crimes. What really left him furious was the story of the young Naruto. The feudal could not believe that most people of Konoha treated Minato's son so awful. Sarutobi calmed him down a bit by saying that most clans of Konoha and Anbu were ordered to protect Naruto. Although he calmed down a little after what he said, Sarutobi, the feudal, declare martial law on Konoha, alleging that he kept a hidden village of shinobi to be operated by shinobi, not civilians. Sarutobi was surprised by the feudal order, but later thanked him greatly and that only in times of war that martial law could be declared, and since the dust settled after the end of the Third Great Shinobi War and the attack of Kyuubi, the strength village's military was reduced. They even had to lower their standards considerably, shinobi, but miraculously held the title of the strongest shinobi village. Elementary nations. One by one, members of the council and audience of the session began to enter the Konoha council chamber and took their seats. Naruto, who was a little nervous, looked at the civil council members and the 3 elders, trying not to show nervousness. The 2 Anbu, who were on both sides of the blonde, had told him not to worry. Even still, Naruto could not help feeling that something would go wrong. The sixth sense told him that something bad would happen, and the looks they got from civil council members told him that fools try something there. Fortunately, the room was filled with various Anbu and Jounin who remained camouflaged. The young blonde looked at the Sandaime and then to the feudal, receiving a slight smile from both of them, and that was enough to raise his spirits, even if it was ever so slight. The council had taken their seats, the civilian council on the left and the shinobi on the right, while the daimyo sat at the podium before them with the Hokage on his right and his childhood friend and his most trusted advisor, Akura Naimura, stood on his left. There were also Jounin seated in the back to watch the session, and finally Naruto sat before them with Nico-san and Usagi-san standing on his left and right respectively. All waited in silence the start of the session. Then finally, the daimyo stood. "Thank you all for coming," said the feudal. "I have received disturbing information about the state of Konoha and their leader, so we ask that you make known your views today so I can decide what to do about it." The shinobi, clan leaders and a few civilian board members pretend to be concerned and surprised at the statement of the feudal lord, but none of them decided to speak. Homura and Kaharu, acting on behalf of those who filed complaints to the feudal lord, got up and walked to the center of the room to speak. "Daimyo Dono," stated Homura. "It is for the sake of Konoha and the Fire Country that we have Sarutobi Hiruzen removed as Hokage of Konoha because of his incompetence to deal with more serious issues. The board believes that Hiruzen is not in perfect mental state to continue practicing as Hokage." Sandaime feigned surprise and would have objected, but the hand of the feudal lord silenced him. Sarutobi played his part and appeared to look shocked, reflecting a face full of betrayal, but the laughter in his head could not be stronger since everything was going well so far. "What are the specific reasons for the removal of Sarutobi, who has been a splendid Hokage for years?" stated Akira, who began to speak on behalf of the daimyo. "Sarutobi was undoubtedly a great Hokage during his prime, and no one can deny that," replied Kaharu. However, since the attack of Kyuubi, Sarutobi Hiruzen has been forced to return to the position of Hokage. Ever since then he has been making horrible decisions without considering the opinions of the civil councils and especially his very own advisors. In particular, his decisions regarding the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi have been those that have brought the concern of the council. Could you be more specific? Akira questioned for the daimyo once more. After our great hero Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, which died sealing the Kyuubi into this orphan boy. The council ordered the execution of Jinchuriki to prevent the devil from taking over the infant and completely destroying Konoha. Sarutobi flatly refused, saying that the work of Yondaime was perfect and there was no chance that the demon could control the infant or escape. Well, he was fortunate a situation of such never occurred, but there was always and still the chain for something to go wrong and the demon could become free. Then what? No one here has such a mastery of seals and it is doubtful Kyuubi would be sealed a second time by a weaker attempt. However, Jiraiya-sama is a Fuinjutsu master who also helped train Yondaime-sama. Shikaku defended on the third's behalf. If you do not remember, Jiraiya-sama personally verified the seal control and said that there was no way for the Kyuubi to escape. Even though Jiraiya or Yondaime-sama was geniuses, could they have not made a mistake? Everyone make errors, Shikaku. Kaharu questioned in response. Your accusation is unfounded nonetheless, replied Shikaku. You yourself just said that Yondaime-sama was a genius in Fuinjutsu like no other, so why wouldn't he seal have the ability to hold the Kyuubi? The Kyuubi is the strongest of all the Bijuu, objected Homura. There was no certainty whether the seal could fully contain its power. Sarutobi made his decision on luck and hoped that the seal could withstand it. A Hokage cannot make such important decisions like that on chance alone, especially with the safety of Konoha on the line. Quite true, I agree with you, Sir Homura, Akira said, nodding to continue. Danzo smirked ever so lightly since it seemed everything was going as planned. Unfortunately, Naruto on the other hand clenched fists to hear the elders speak so well of his father, but talking about him like he was simply a piece of trash. Nico put her hand on Naruto's arm and squeezed it gently to calm him down. Thank you, Akira-san, Homura responded. After the refusal to execute the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, the council proposed that the Jinchuriki was trained as a weapon for Konoha. By doing this we could make him loyal to Konoha and send him on mission no others could complete. And by doing this with Uzumaki, Konoha would be on par with the other nations who have known Jinchuriki that are used in a similar manner. Danzo, a renowned shinobi of Konoha, offered to train Naruto like the others, but once more Sarutobi refused on the grounds that Konoha would not act like all the other shinobi villages and thus made us weaker in terms of power compared to Kumo or even Suna. That error of judgment has also and still is endangering the security and tranquility of the population from how Uzumaki has acted as he's grown. He has caused chaos in the village, resulting in several villagers being injured, including some members of the same council going to the hospital because of Uzumaki, who was only accused by Sarutobi and did not receive any punishment for such actions. Uzumaki-san only performed harmless jokes because of the ill treatment he received by the people who, foolishly I might add, believed that he was the reincarnation of Kyuubi, Shibi refuted. Anyways, the property damage was minimal and the population was never hurt. That accusation is unfounded and utterly ridiculous. It is a ridiculous accusation, Shibi yelled Homura. What if a shinobi or a villager died because of the Jinchuriki? Shinobi and villagers who have tried to hurt Uzumaki-san broke the law imposed by Hokage-sama, said Shibi as he adjusted his glasses. Fortunately, there has not been a great loss for Konoha. If they cannot obey the laws of our land, who is to say they are not traitors? People have died because of these laws. How can you say that? Homura said, losing his cool completely. They are people who disobeyed the orders of the leader of the village. In other words, they are traitors to not only the Hokage, but the village itself. Shibi said quietly, allowing Homura to fume over his words. Shibi smiled seeing that it was working and was thankful for his jacket covering his face before looked towards Akira and the daimyo. Akira-san, the testimony and prosecution of Homura is influenced because of the 3 children that died. All 3 were Chunin who organized an assassination attempt against Uzumaki Naruto, but they were executed on the spot by the Anbu squad, which guards Uzumaki-san 24/7 to enforce any infractions against the Sandaime's law. The feudal lord simply nodded, knowing what happened. Thanks for the information, Aburam-san. Akira-san said. Anyways, regarding the accusation of alleged attacks on the young Uzumaki Naruto, I see nothing wrong. After all, Uzumaki was only a child. Akira-san, mused Kaharu. Despite being a child, Uzumaki was aware of the damage that occurred. What would you say what were the actions of Uzumaki? Akira said. Pranks. He always seems to be full of them, and they all in the end in a chase with our shinobi trying to capture, which can take up to several hours, explained Shikaku. These jokes range from planting all kinds of joke bombs and paint in various parts of the village to get back at the stores that refuse to sell their products to Uzumaki to defacing the Hokage monument in broad daylight, I might add, after skipping classes. I am aware of that incident, Akira said with a nod. It is pretty amazing for a single student at the academy to perform such an act of vandalism in the full light of day in a shinobi village, and no one was able to catch him. This suggests two different scenarios. Uzumaki Naruto is either a genius or Konoha shinobi are nowhere as strong as we once thought and are negligent in overseeing their own village. A bit of both actually, Shikaku responded. I have personally seen the creativity and intelligence that Uzumaki possesses, and I can say that if he had wanted to destroy Konoha, he might not have a problem doing it. The sayings of Shikaku caught the attention of those present. It especially caught the feudal lords as he mumbled something into the ear of Akira. Naruto arched an eyebrow. He was not expected like that to be said by Shikamaru's father. Danzo remained calm despite the fact that things were not going as I wanted and they were straying from the topic at hand. Could you elaborate this statement, Nara-san? Uzumaki Naruto planned every joke to perfection. He could infiltrate places which for many shinobi is hard to do without being caught and carried out the joke of the day. Imagine if instead of paint bombs, stink bombs or smoke bombs were instead rigged traps with kunai, shuriken and explosive notes. One event in particular stands out was on a few months ago when several places were affected by these joke bombs simultaneously and shows he's capable of striking anywhere at any time in a coordinated manner. That's why I say that if Uzumaki Naruto had wanted to destroy Konoha, he maybe be able to do it or at least leave the village in a state of chaos with a large amount of civilian and shinobi casualties and a massive amount of property damage. Akira nodded and before he could say something was broken. We have strayed from the subject at hand, demanded Danzo standing up. This is a session to determine to see if Sarutobi Hiruzen is still capable of running Konoha as the Hokage, not the boy's vandalism and supposed skill. He had originally suggested putting Naruto's pranks as evidence of the negligence of Sarutobi, Shibi and Shikaku put up an excellent opposition. Even he had to admit that what Shikaku said about if Naruto used weapons instead of paints and other nonsensical items would be a disaster waiting to happen. The Jinchuriki was much cleverer than he appeared and if all went well he would have a very powerful weapon with little time wasted. Danzo's pawns on the board were confused with their leader's action, but just by looking at the face, understood that what he did was necessary. One of the Anbu carefully camouflaged near Danzo, carefully pushed a button on his right hand, sending a Morse code signal through static electricity to the other Anbu located with the room. There was no use of the Sharingan, I repeat, there was no use of the Sharingan, the traitors are not being controlled by Danzo was the message that the Anbu, a Hyuga clan member, sent to all other Anbu in the room. Thanks to research on Danzo they were able to know that he could manipulate others through the use of his Sharingan, so being able to determine that Danzo was not using his Sharingan, the Anbu knew each of the traitors acted voluntarily. The session continued with Hamura and Kaharu making accusations against Sarutobi, who was weakly defended by either Shibi or Shikaku, who were responsible to dispute any charge. The elders continued to list Sarutobi's faults until they came to the negligence of leaving Orochimaru to escape and not send Hunter Nin unit out after him for capture or elimination. Before they could move on to another subject, a board member from the civil council who favors the third, who Danzo hates from the depths of his being and was diehard fan of the Uchiha clan, stood. What about the traitor Uchiha Itachi? Asked a board member civil. Why have we not sent a Hunter Nin to capture Itachi and bring him to trial? Akira looked surprised at the subject and dropped the bomb without knowing it. Itachi is officially in the book bingo for killing his clan, but not pursued by the shinobi of Konoha after the amnesty granted by the feudal lord to prevent a coup attempt, said Akira, thinking that all the board members knew. Itachi was ordered by the Hokage to eliminate the Uchiha clan, who tried to betray Konoha and the feudal lord to make a coup against Sandaime. Itachi is officially a madman who murdered his entire clan for unknown reasons, and the Hunter Nin knows that Itachi is extremely strong. Unofficially Itachi is a hero to avoid a coup and is a spy for the Hokage and the daimyo. Each of those present did not know that information, which is all everyone outside Sarutobi, Hamura, Kaharu, and Danzo. Akira looked stunned. Shibi, being always the fastest out of print, looked at Sarutobi. Hokage-sama, is that true? Asked the leader of the Aburame clan. Sarutobi sighed and wished that Akira had not opened his mouth and wanted nothing more than for a smoke to clear his head. He needed nicotine to calm down. The feudal lord glanced at his advisor and with a slight growl aimed at him, he let Akira know he had just screwed them over massively. Akira whispered a nervous apology. It is the unfortunate truth, Shibi Hiruzen answered. The Uchiha clan indeed attempted a coup and according the information Itachi had gathered as a double agent, they would have sought to overthrow our rule. It was a necessity to stop them before they could attempt such an act of treason. All the shinobi and adults in the Uchiha clan were in on the coup. All except for Itachi. The Uchiha clan's plans were to kill me and kill the clan leaders, then learn the secrets of each clan. The first objective was me and then the Hyuga clan in order to learn about the Hyuga Sakuin Jutsu. They would then put the seal on each of the Konoha shinobi and residents to make them into nothing more than slaves to the Uchiha clan. Chaos gripped the room. Many council members were aiming questions to the Hokage, while others refuted that the Uchiha clan would never be able to do such a thing. The shinobi talked among themselves about the betrayal, anger noticeable in their voice directed towards the Uchiha clan, which until now were considered victims of a psychopath. Naruto was surprised to find out what really happened and just looked at Sarutobi. He would have never thought that his Jiji could order someone to slaughter an entire clan, even though they had deserved it for turning against the village. The clan leaders were talking among themselves about the new revelation. Shikaku, who was acting as representative of the clan, stood up and raised his hand to silence those who were asking the Hokage about what happened. Seeing that they did not shut up, Tsume, being the loudest of all, shouted shut up. With such vigor that everyone quickly did as she said. Okage-sama, Shikaku said, there is no need to question your decision, which was certainly adequate, but was it necessary to kill almost every one of the Uchiha clan, except for Sasuke, who instead was left with a severe trauma caused by Itachi and his Tsukiyomi. I do not know why Itachi killed the innocent and his brother left traumatized. Sarutobi said, but I did give the order to eliminate the Uchiha clan. It was an easy decision to make. We had been negotiating with them, but my advisors convinced me it was better to eliminate the problem immediately due to their unreasonable demands. Itachi was the one who we reported that the intention of the coup offered to remedy the matter and in his own words, saving the Uchiha clan from losing their honor. Shikaku nodded and sat down before he rested his elbows on the table and laced his fingers to support the front and then close his eyes. Inoichi and Chaozu saw their friend in one of his analytical poses and nodded for they knew he'd decipher all the information and discover why Sasuke was the only survivor. Seeing the opportunity, Danzo looked at Homura who nodded. Despite the discovery of the truth of what happened to the Uchiha clan, which they tried to cover up for years in order to leave Sasuke content so they could control him and thus control the new Uchiha clan, the fact that he had said Sarutobi preferred to seek through diplomatic channels, as it happened with the incident with Kumo, was an opportunity that he could not pass up. I'm Yodono, Akira-san, Homura said. According to the Sarutobi, who said he preferred to negotiate with the Uchiha clan, we believe that is why he is unfit to be Hokage. If we had gone to the negotiations with the clan and had lost a lot and the Uchiha clan had gained more power and then carried out their plans anyways. If it were not for Kaharu and I, who decided on their execution, who knows what would have happened. There are times when diplomatic channels do not work and it is in times like these are when you need to use force. We are a shinobi village, a military organization and the things you have to make militarily. Many of the shinobi and clan leaders in the room could not help but agree with the old counselor, despite knowing that he is a damn traitor no better than the Uchiha. In this case I cannot help but agreeing with Homura, Hokage-sama, said Shikaku. The shinobi council should have been informed of the situation regarding the Uchiha clan, so we could prepare for an attack on Konoha and to both complexes of each clan. Fortunately Itachi solved the problem, but some Uchiha clan members who died were innocent and we lost a great shinobi in Itachi. I know I made a mistake in that regard and I admit it, Sarutobi agreed. However, if we had prepared our forces for an attack of the Uchiha clan, would it not have had raised the suspicions and we would have been involved in a civil war. The Sharingan can control people and Uchiha clan leaders have controlled some clans to fight for them. The situation was discussed in secret to avoid greater conflict in Konoha. The shinobi board members agreed. They left the Uchiha clan theme aside, Homura and Kaharu continued discussing some facts against Sarutobi to satisfy every time Danzo felt safer place to be victorious and perhaps, if he played his cards right, he could succeed the man and become Godame Hokage of Konoha. While the Konoha council meeting unfolded, the Jounin and Anbu invaded the Na barracks, killing any enemy they found in their path. The attack was developed to perfection, taking only 3 forces because some of the Na shinobi were not to be taken lightly. The Hokage forces attacked with precision to the Na shinobi were overwhelmed by the sudden attack and they quickly fell. The Anbu showed why they were the best shinobi of Konoha. They attacked precisely and without wasting much energy. Running to the closest enemy, remove with a flick of katana and attack the next enemy in line. No flashy jutsus, no energy to spend needlessly. They attacked quickly, with excellent coordination, and used every opportunity that opened to them. There was no regards to whether the enemy was man, woman and child, it did not matter in the eyes of the Anbu. Within this place everyone was the enemy for they all were traitor to Konoha. They were threats and they would be removed. The Hokage's orders were clear. To eliminate every last one for only those faithful to his word, his law, would leave the Na headquarters. The Jounin and Anbu repeated the last words the Hokage gave to them before they were sent here to dispose of the traitors. Let no traitor live. 4 words, those 4 words sealed the fate of nearly 200 shinobi that had been overwhelmed by a force of no more than 80, a force much smaller in quantity but vastly superior in quality. Less than an hour later in Kakamutetsu, the operation carried out and the Hokage's forces were victorious. Of the 80 shinobi sent by the Hokage, 5 fell in battle and 6 others were in critical condition due to injuries from kunai to vital organs. Of the nearly 200 shinobi, only 10 were left alive. 10 children that were no older than the age of 5 had survived, hiding in the closets when the battle had started. When the fight was over, silence reigned and the nearly inaudible sobs caught the attention of the shinobi who investigated and found 10 children hugging and shaking from fear. Uhi Kurenai, one of the Jounin, who was charged with supporting the shinobi with her genjutsu, approached the 10 terrified children and used a light illusion to put them to sleep and yet another to make them believe that everything they had seen was nothing more than a nightmare. Training children to be murderers, Kurenai said, foreseeing these children greatly upset her. In her eyes, no child should ever had to see what the life of a ninja was. And I'm sure they have already been trained to kill. This is what that bastard Danzo does. Said one of the Anbu, he doesn't care how old you or even what you are. The only thing that matters is your usefulness. He coached his son since he could walk to be an emotionless shinobi. A simple gun to his ambitions. We must get these children here and take them to the barracks, Ibiki ordered. Inoichi can fix anything that Danzo may have done to their psyche. The council meeting was at least 2 hours of heated discussions where Sarutobi kept quiet throughout because firstly, he knew that everything was arranged and secondly, because it was reported to him that Operation Kakamutetsu was a success. Although despite being quiet, he was rather upset about the lies and exaggerations of his friends Homura and Kaharu. How? Asked Sarutobi. How could I have trust those 2 traitors for so long? Those 2 bastards and Danzo will pay, mark my words. Akira-sen, said Kaharu. We have already presented a lot of evidence showing you why Sarutobi Hiruzen is no longer fit to be Kage of Konoha. However, the most serious act is how he dealt with Naruto stealing the Forbidden Scroll of Seals, which occurred a little over 2 weeks ago. I, as a member of the board of Konoha, asked that Uzumaki Naruto, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, proceed to the center of the room to be questioned. Sarutobi pretended to be angry with Kaharu and Homura, but actually, the scene of Naruto being somewhat questioned by the traitors in the presence of feudal had an 80% chance of succeeding in their favor, according Shikaku. After the conversation with the feudal lord, who retired to the mansion he kept in Konoha, Sarutobi asked Naruto to stay behind to discuss the meeting. He also told him to answer everything as it was and not to lie because Danzo, Kaharu and Homura would realize, as they were great shinobi in their time, and that if he were to answer any questions about the parchment, his parents had left to simply say that it was a clan secret, which was actually the truth. Naruto nodded affirmatively and said he probably would have some surprises for the elderly trio. The smile on the face of Naruto brought chills to the spine of Sarutobi because it was the same smile that the blonde had whenever he did his pranks on a large scale. Naruto stood up, grabbed his katana which he strapped to his back and then strung the parchment around his neck. After setting the katana and the parchment and not really wanting to bother with moving to the center of the assembly, Naruto started walking after deciding to show off a bit for his audience. With a set of seals performed with his left hand he vanished in a swirl of wind and fire and reappeared in the middle of the room with the same vortex. After they had spent much of the night testing the shunshin with one hand until he was proficient, it was the most logical thing from his point of view with which to show off, even if it was just a little bit. The present shinobi tensed as many of them felt the blonde mold both Kaiten and Futon chakra types and instinctively put their hands to their kunai holders, but then noticed that Naruto was simply using a harmless shunshin. Most shinobi and former shinobi looked at Naruto stop in the middle of the room with his hands in his pockets. Show off, thought a smiling Sarutobi. Wo's thoughts mirrored most of the shinobi in the room and even managed to hear a comment from a troubled shinobi concealmember. Danzo simply arched his left eyebrow when he saw Naruto appear in a swirl of wind and fire, greatly interesting to see someone so young using an elementary shunshin. Besides seeing the shunshin, Danzo had heard rumors that the blonde had used 2 powerful jutsus to kill a giant emperor beetle, which he could now believe were true. Seeing is believing, they say. Homura looked on with almost uncontrollable disgust at the Jinchuriki that had killed 3 children, who intriguingly enough had been members of his family, therefore making him the last Midokado, and at his age, it was almost impossible to have children. Because on one hand the current level of medicine had never been dedicated to curing male impotence, and secondly, although still capable of having sex with a fertile woman, he ran the risk of having a child with some type of mental disability because of his advanced age, and if that were the case would have opted to kill the newborn immediately. Kaharu meanwhile, looked at the blonde with disdain because she regarded him as an inferior being, a pest that did not deserve to breathe the same air as she. Knowing that Homura had no good way to try and disparage the Jinchuriki, Kaharu decided to ask the questions in order to keep to the plan, which was to cast a bad light on the Jinchuriki, as he was not noted for his alertness or mental capacity. That of course was old and incorrect information, and in the end it cost them dearly. Name, age and occupation, Kaharu said, initiating the series of questions and trying to sound as intimidating as possible. Uzumaki Naruto, 12 years of age, genin of Konohagakure no Sado, replied the blonde with an unintimated face. Uzumaki sternly warned Homura. I'm warning you, it's not good to lie to the council, we all know that you did not graduate from the academy. Naruto nodded and looked at the elderly man and smiled. I would recommend that you go and see a medic nin, because your eyesight is pretty bad, Naruto said, pointing to his hit eye on his forehead. See, I am a shinobi of Konoha. Naruto looked at Homura and Kaharu, who both frowned. The shinobi held their laughter at the comment, noting that Naruto had guts to ridicule the old counselors to their face in front of so many people. Sume was biting her lip hard to avoid letting out a booming laugh, despite being a jounin, being an Inyazuka made her lose control of her emotions a lot. Sarutobi let out a slight laugh, and the feudal had to cover the lower half of his face with his fan. Where did you get that hit I ate? Kaharu asked. Okajima gave me it yesterday, and I was officially made a shinobi of Konoha, Naruto said, as he put a finger to his chin. Though I still have not got the picture to complete my license and I'm not currently registered as shinobi. Anyway, it does not matter now, tomorrow is another day. Do not make unnecessary comments, Uzumaki, simply answer the questions that we asked you, demanded Homura. Okay, Naruto agreed in a snide voice. You shouldn't be mad at me because of the lack of sex Kaharu is giving you. I've seen old pictures of Kaharu-san and I commend you for getting with a babe like that. Uzumaki. Homura and Kaharu yelled strongly. What? Naruto asked nervously, pretending he didn't realize what he had just said. Well, I'm sorry, it's just that seeing as I'm a demon and all sometimes I'm unable to keep my thoughts in my head, and as the saying goes, the truth hurts. Sume burst out laughing, but an elbow to the side by Hiashi, who had a slight smile on his face, made her shut up. Stop, Uzumaki, we are not here for your jokes. Homura shouted, his face red with anger, trying very hard to contain his emotions, even though he was failing horribly. I'm sorry, it really was not my intention, said Naruto with palms held to the front in a placating manner. Better continue with the questions before the words escape me again, even if it's the truth. Kaharu had Homura grab her arm so she would not do something stupid. Danzo was considering killing the elderly couple because they had just been humiliated by a child no older than 12. You'd better think twice before speaking next time, Uzumaki, Kaharu said. I do not want you to be punished and have your status as a genin revoked for insulting members of the council. Does the council even have the ability to do that? Naruto asked, feigning surprise, which Kaharu simply nodded. Gigi, I can't believe we're so desperate to find some council members that you empowered a group of elders of the same age. Naruto looked at a smiling Sarutobi. Gigi, did you not hear that? Several snorts of laughter escaped the shinobi upon seeing the faces of outrage from the two advisors to the Hokage. On the stand, none of the three men of great political and military power were able to contain the laughter. I've never heard that saying before, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi replied, who had a smile adorned on his face. It's because you spend all day with paperwork or reading that orange book and laughing like a schoolgirl psychopath stalking the girl, said Naruto. We have fangirls like those at the academy who are always trying to impress the almighty Uchiha Sasuke. Now people who weren't laughing at first were laughing. Even some of the council members could not help but laugh at the Uchiha comment. To Danzo, those were funny comments about Sarutobi and the Uchiha. Hiruzen, on the other hand, had a tick in his left eye because Naruto had revealed his most sordid pastime. The feudal lord leaned over to speak to Sarutobi. Hiruzen-kun, I did not know you were a fan of the Icha series that Jiraiya-kun made, said the daimyo. Later, feudal lord Dono, we can discuss the books as well as call Jiraiya-kun to give him some suggestions I've had in my head for some time. Jiraiya, who was hiding with his Toten no Jutsu, quickly scribbled Naruto's comments to add to one of the characters in his next book. The boy was a goldmine. I'll give a percentage of the proceeds to the Gaki when the book goes on sale, Jiraiya thought, even though he doesn't need the money, it's the least I can do for mentioning it. Uzumaki, do not push your luck, Homura said reluctantly. Are you threatening me? Naruto asked in a serious tone while looking Homura in the eyes. Those in the room fell silent when they felt the tension between the old man and the blonde. It is a warning, Homura said. Ah, then we are just fine, Rusui-san, the blonde joked as he pat the old man's arm, which caused a reaction from Homura from the impact of when he was called senile in front of all present. That is not like me, because when I threaten, I begin to bite the hands that made the joke. But would not make a joke, Rusui-san, because you can die of a heart attack from shock and I will be blamed for killing an old man, no matter if he is senile. Laughter were heard again in the council chamber, and now there were only the few who did not laugh. Ibiki, despite his usual demeanor, smiled broadly, something people rarely saw him do. "Let's face it, Genma," Ibiki said. "That little gaki has to have some balls to insult Hamura like that." Genma simply nodded and continued to observe what was happening. Usagi, who was standing next to them, held out a scorecard and gave Naruto a 9.8 out of 10 for his balsiness. 9.8. Is very low, Nico added. "I'd give him a 10. He's missing just a bit of charisma," Usagi said, keeping the sign up. The laughter continued until Hamura lashed out on Naruto. "Silence!" Hamura shouted, enraged. "This is not a circus, you idiot, this is a meeting of the Council of Konoha, and you are joking around. I remind you that feudal is here and you are there acting like fools." Hamura's words went in one ear and out the other as the supporters of Sandaime continued laughing until little by little they began to quiet down for the hackling of Hamura and Kaheru each time they felt ridiculed by the shinobi, and especially the blonde who had a smile on his face that went from ear to ear. "Do not make us call the Anbu to punish you," Uzumaki said Kaheru. "Now behave like the shinobi that you are." Naruto looked at the old woman as if he had done nothing and nodded. When Hamura and Kaheru looked at Naruto, who nodded and coughed, some might have heard an uttered lame between coughs. Hamura and Kaheru heard the insult but decided not to follow the game and saved their anger at the Jinchuriki, for after having brought the position of Hokage by sarutobi to an end and taken control of Konoha. "He who laughs last laughs best," Uzumaki said Hamura. "And don't you forget it." "That's not true at all," Naruto said, shaking his head. "The one who laughs last usually does not get the joke because he or she is simply idiotic." Surprisingly for board member Shinobis, Shibi nodded at the words of Naruto. When looked at questioningly by Shikaku, the Aburam adjusted his sunglasses. "It actually is a logical statement," informed Shibi, while Shikaku rolled his eyes and muttered, "Troublesome." "Uzumaki, enough of your stupid comments," muttered Hamura. "Please, Kaheru, continue." Kaheru nodded. "Uzumaki, tell us what has happened during the scroll incident," Kaheru said. Naruto decided to start from the beginning. "Well, after failing the academy test, because I was unable to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu, which is a useless technique that only a normal genin has the ability to use because their chakra levels are far less advanced compared to mine, which in turn makes it easier for them to summon only one rather than to summon hundreds like me. Then I started wandering around the village where I came across Mizuki," answered Naruto. "Mizuki told me that there was a secret genin exam which consisted of entering Hokage Mansion and stealing a certain scroll, then the genin is supposed to learn at least one technique before the meeting time in the nearby forest." Kaheru nodded at this point. "Why did not you approach another sensei at the academy or ask the Hokage about this test you were given?" "I had no reason to suspect at the time that Mizuki was lying," Naruto said. "He was a sensei at the academy after all, so it made sense to obey his orders." "As you have just confirmed in your discussion with Mizuki," said Kaheru, "you stole a dangerous scroll that might have fallen into the hands of Orochimaru." "An academy student must follow the orders of his superiors," Naruto said. "Nevertheless, at the time I did not know what the scroll contained or that Mizuki was tricking me. I cannot go around questioning my superior's orders, so agreed the other shinobi of equal or higher rank. Once you receive an order from a superior you must obey." The shinobi nodded and Kaheru knew he should not give more time to the issue because the blonde was right. He had no way of knowing that Mizuki was a traitor and was simply obeying a superior. "All right, you did not commit error in obeying your superior," stated Kaheru, "but how did you even get into Hokage Mansion?" "I got to Hokage Mansion and started to watch patrols of the Anbu, and after a few minutes I found that there was a span of 37 seconds when a window was not occupied. So I ran to the unoccupied window and luckily I got to the place. Then I began to follow the instructions Mizuki gave me to find the room with the scrolls, but on the way I met Jiji, then defeated him with my cage killer." "Are you saying you beat the Hokage?" Hamura said incredulously. "How could a simple student from the academy defeat a cage?" "Just like this," Naruto said, making the seal to use the Auric no Jutsu. When the smoke cleared, the reactions were varied. Some began to bleed from the nose, but may contained or disguised their reactions to seem as if nothing happened. Others simply lost consciousness, and most of the women present clenched their fists in aversion to the perverted jutsu. Sarutobi was holding his nose, despite having seen the same jutsu previously, still suffered its effects. The feudal lord and Akira opened their eyes in surprise and began to bleed from the nose after seeing the voluptuous nude blonde. Jiraiya was a special case. First he almost lost control over his Toten no Jutsu, but could not recover after he pervertedly started laughing and then start writing the descriptions of the blonde to add as a character for his books and made a mental note to demand the fare from conducting the technique when resources were scarce in order to keep on with his research. Danzo, Hamura and Kaheru looked at the blonde with no visible reaction, which could mean two things, that they have good control of their emotions or old people are simply apathetic. Apparently it was the latter. Uzumaki Kaharu began. So you are saying that with a henge of a naked woman you beat the Hokage? That's all deviant, said Naruto, returning to normal. It is the nature of man to be perverted, it is something that the academy should teach Kunoichis, it would really help them in the future. Do not change the subject. Then I found the place where the scrolls were hidden, and after reviewing the shelves, I found the scroll of forbidden seals, not knowing what was in the scroll at that time I simply took it, explained Naruto. And the other parchment, Kaharu asked. When I was about to leave the mansion with the scroll of forbidden seals in hand, I stumbled upon something that caught my attention, Naruto said. When I came across this scroll I noticed that it had the same insignia that was on some of my clothes that Jiji gave me. When I asked Jiji about the symbol he told me that it represented me and my roots and said nothing more. Assuming that the scroll was for me because of the symbol, I took it with me as well. After securing both scrolls I fled from the mansion and went to where I would meet Mizuki at dawn. I reached the clearing in the forest and opened the scroll of forbidden seals and saw that the first technique was the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. I cursed my bad luck because the first technique just had to be a bunshin, but I decided to try anyways. Hours later, I had perfected the Kage Bunshin. Stop there, said Kaharu. Did you just say you perfected a B-range Kinjutsu within hours? Some of our finest jounin couldn't even do that. Having the strongest Bijuu encased within me has its benefits, Naruto informed, smiling. One of which is the huge amount of chakra that by my calculations, it could be double or triple that of a cage. Although my chakra control is pretty bad, I've been practicing with it. That's why I failed the test at the academy, because there they do not teach chakra control to maintain excessive levels. Furthermore, the level of chakra our academy student is not very high, so you do not need to teach about chakra control beyond the exercise of the leaf on the forehead. If teachers of the academy have taken into consideration and not ignored me as usual, they would have realized that my reserves are enormous and would have helped teach me to control my chakra with exercises like walking up the trees and on water, but I was always ignored. Before the final point, many members of civil advice paled a bit, which was not ignored by the shinobi of the room. Sarutobi smiled to see their reactions. How do you know about these control exercises? Kaharu asked quietly, ignoring the last charge of Naruto, as it is not knowledge for an academy student. Any person who observes their surroundings would know about these exercises, Naruto said. I simply walk around the training grounds and I could see shinobi walking up and down the trees and on top of water. In addition, this information is not restricted and anyone can get a public library book about chakra control. However, I have to use a henge just to enter the library, which has expelled me for reasons I didn't even know about, in order to borrow some books, Naruto laughed. The funny thing about all this is I would greet some of the shinobi who passed near me, but every time I saw an Inuzuka I went the other way because they would not be deceived by a simple henge. Back to what happened that day, Kaharu said, at which Naruto nodded. After perfecting the Kage Bunshin, the clones and myself began to argue about whether or not the scroll was for a genin level, shinobi, explained Naruto. One of the clones assigned to Jutsus read the warnings in the scroll and saw that others were also Kinjutsus, and the clone then confirmed that there was something wrong. After discovering the advantages of Kage Bunshin, that whatever a clone learns the original will too when the clone is dispersed, I decided to leave the place to train with the scroll in order to learn new jutsus. I grabbed both parchments and set off to find a place to train where I will not be found easily. On the way I created a Kage Bunshin that took care to erase the trail I was leaving and other clones that helped me look for a place to train. We searched for hours before we found the Forest of Death. Because dawn had not broken yet, I did not notice the warnings of entering the Forest of Death and it was close to the reserved section. When I entered the woods and found a place to camp and train, I sent a few clones to look for food, clothing, weapons, medical kits and survival equipment in my house. When I was ready with the camp I started to train with both scrolls. Why did not you warn the Hokage where you were? Hamura asked. I sent a clone to Jiji's office to tell him that I had both scrolls and it was Mizuki who told me to steal the scroll. I told him that I would train with the scrolls and my clone disappeared before he asked me where I was training because I gave him that order, Naruto smiled. I certainly saw from my clone when Jiji broke the desk in his office, then pinned the one-eyed cripple with stick to the wall. I've never laughed so hard. Amura and Kaharu frowned at the insult. Danzo meanwhile was surprised because he never felt the presence of Kage Bunshin hiding in the office, which he was a concern because it is not easy for someone to go unnoticed in front of him and much less from that has the Sharingan in his right eye, Shisui's eye. Because since he implanted the Sharingan, it has been easier to identify the use of chakra and the presence of a person in one place. What did you learn the Forbidden Scroll of Seals? Kaharu asked. A shinobi does not reveal his arsenal of jutsus to anyone, Kaharu-sen said Naruto. Only my future Jounin sensei, the Hokage, and my team will know of it. Well, I'm not either and now you're in a council meeting attended by the feudal, so you are authorized to tell us, Kaharu angrily responded. Naruto sighed and looked briefly at the Sandaime who nodded. I learned all the jutsu, futon, kaiten and all the other basic elemental they had on the scroll of forbidden seals, stated the young blonde. I also learned clan jutsus like the Shadaime Hokage's Mokuten jutsus, some of the Yamanaka clan jutsus, then some Juin jutsu and Fuin jutsu. Kaharu was remarkably surprised. The other people who did not know this information previously also was surprised by the ability to complete various kenjutsus in such a short amount of time. What did you learn from your other scroll? Kaharu asked. I'm sorry, but I cannot answer that question, said Naruto. It's a clan secret. Clan secret? Homura asked in a tone to ridicule Uzumaki Naruto. You're an orphan. I'm only an orphan because my parents were killed the day of the attack of the Kyuubi, informed the blonde. My mother died in childbirth complexities which they knew would happen to an illness she had, and my father died sealing the Kyuubi inside of me. All who knew not of the inheritance of Naruto looked shocked to blonde's statement. What did they not know? Naruto asked with noticeable sarcasm, then smiled. It's true, ladies and gentlemen. I, Uzumaki Naruto, am the son of Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha and Uzumaki Kushina, the Uzumaki clan's last member from the Whirlpool country and refugee in Konoha after the destruction of said Whirlpool country by Iwa. Therefore I am the last member of the Namikaze clan, as well as the Uzumaki clan. The civilian side of the board broke into shouts of complaints against Sandaime for his disrespect to the deceased Yondaime and Kushina's by saying that it was a complete and bold-faced lie. Homura, Kaharu and Danzo looked at the blonde and then looked at Sarutobi with a remarkable hatred of Hokage by concealing such important information. Had they known that Jinchuriki was the son of the Yondaime and the princess of Whirlpool country, they would have employed the same tactic they occupied with Uchiha Sasuke to control him. Not only the power of the Kyuubi, but also the Hirishin no Jutsu and the rest of the repertoire of the Yondaime, as well as the vast knowledge of the Uzumaki clan in one person. Looking at Naruto, Danzo thought, Sarutobi, you damned wretch, when you stop being Hokage, how would you escape my wrath at hiding this information? How was I so stupid to not put the pieces together? The Jinchuriki is a miniature Minato with facial marks and was also given the name Uzumaki. The trails were clear to anyone who wanted to take a second look at Jinchuriki. Surely all of the clan leaders have known this for years. Damn. Danzo looked at the parchment in Naruto's back and then the katana that carried and my shinobi should have told me something about the katana. Bunch of idiots, it's there clearly, just look and one can recognize the katana Kushina used. In that scroll are the techniques of Uzumaki clan, Clan Namikaze and Minato's techniques. If I had his power I would be the new god of shinobi. During and after his speech, Danzo had not considered that Naruto could have learned some techniques from that scroll. A mistake that cost him dearly. Hokage-sama! Shouted one of the civilian board members. This can no longer go on. The cursed devil cannot come and say that he is the son of the Yondaime and Kushina-sama, it's a lie. The cold stare that Sarutobi sent the board member who was stupid enough to insult Naruto in his presence sent shivers down many civilian council members who managed to see the eyes of the Hokage. Many, especially the one that insulted Naruto, shut up immediately. Sarutobi stood up and raised his hand. Everyone in the room fell silent to pay attention to the Hokage. I want each of you to know that Uzumaki Naruto is the only son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, Sarutobi said calmly and then looked at each of the board members who had ordered that the young blonde be hurt one way or another. Minato requested Naruto in his will that his son was treated as a hero for being the true hero that defeated the Kyuubi, but you simply ignored the will of the Yondaime Hokage and did everything possible to hurt his child, who is the only thing keeping the Kyuubi locked up. The claims of the Sandaime at the end made some of the civilian board members lower their heads in shame. Sarutobi looked around and took a parchment from his coat to give it to feudal lord. All supporters of Sandaime knew that the time for action had come. The feudal lord took the scroll in his hands and stood up. Akira also rose from his seat and placed his hand on the sheath of his katana that he had on the left side of his waist. This gesture brought the attention of Danzo, Homura and Kaharu. Council members of Konoha, said the feudal lord. Do you know what I have in my hands? The civilian board members looked at each other confused. Danzo had a hunch that something was wrong. The scroll, Daimyo-sama, replied Danzo to see that all the others followed in silence. Well done, Danzo-san, said the feudal lord who threw the parchment to Danzo in an act ever seen from him, at which point the stated, Danzo-san, open it. Danzo did not like at all what was happening. Quietly on the outside, but swirling internally, he began to open the scroll and found that it had several labels drawn into. He arched her eyebrow at each seal which had a stamp type of storage. He looked at the feudal lord who nodded, giving permission to release whatever containing each stamp. He applied chakra to the first seal and took out some documents by hand, but when he read it, his left eye opened wide in surprise and the papers escaped from his hands because he had lost the grip. "Tell me, Danzo-san," stated the feudal lord. "What could you do with the Sharingan Eye of Uchiha Shisui that's not written on these scrolls?" The attention of all present focused on Danzo. Some civil council members began to murmur among themselves at the words of feudal lord. Hamura and Kaharu, knowing that Danzo had the Sharingan in his right eye, they began to get very nervous. The feudal lord, Akira and Hiruzen, simply smiled to see Danzo shocked to see the documents regarding the activities of Na and some crimes from members of the council. The feudal lord raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Immediately, the place was filled with Anbu that stood with a katana at the neck of each of the traitors and corrupt members of the council. "I'm Yodono," said Hamura, trying to stay calm. "What is the meaning of this?" "Dare you question the feudal, Hamura?" said Akira, stern eyes looking at the old councillor and moving his right hand to the hilt of his katana. "Akira-kun, it is not necessary," the daimyo countered. Hamura, Kaharu and some honorable members of the civilian council of Konoha, the words of feudal were loaded with sarcasm. That scroll was all the evidence he needed. "The scroll Hiruzen-kun delivered to me contains the illicit activities that each of you has done since Sarutobi returned to power 12 years ago. Conspiracies against the Hokage and myself. Murder of Konoha shinobi. Release of information to enemies of Konoha and the Fire Country. Attacks on members of the clans of Konoha. Attacks against the heir of the Namikas and the Uzumaki clan. Abuse of power. Plans to assassinate the Hokage and every one of the leaders of the clans of Konoha. Cooperation with major criminals in illegal businesses like selling slaves and drug trafficking. Kidnapping of minors in the country of fire and other countries to then be trained in the exchange of information through treacherous spies in Konoha with Orochimaru of the Sannin. Violation of laws and numerous other scams. The list is so big that we could spend a couple of hours naming each of the crimes." The traitors began to tremble because of some of the forms that were discovered. Danzo remained calm and stood up, ignoring the katana in his neck. "I'm Yodono," Danzo began. "All this information is false. We are being unfairly accused because we are all loyal to Fire Country and Konoha." "You dare lie to my face, Danzo," said the feudal lord in disgust. "We have an eyewitness who saw a meeting between Hamura, Kaharu and you during one of your conspiracies. That witness is currently present in this room." "And who could be that witness?" asked Danzo, trying to stay calm. "Uzumaki Naruto," feudal replied with a smile. Everyone looked at Naruto, who raised his hand. "And you believe a mere child, Daimyo Dono?" Danzo asked. "Of course," said the feudal. "After all, Naruto-kun was the one who said Mizuki was the mastermind of the theft of parchment, which in turn enabled us to capture Orochimaru's spy Akado Yoroi, who was followed by Anbu members. While other Orochimaru spies like Yakushi Kabuto and Tsurugi Misumi were seen talking with several members of the civilian council and Nishinobi. Naruto-kun was also the one who gave us the information on the building, which Na was operating under. The building where Anbu found much of the evidence presented and had in his basement 2 tunnels leading to the training complex of Na and another building belonging to your organization. The same building that was invaded by several teams of Anbu and Joun in the feudal look at Sarutobi. Hiruzen-kun, how did the operation go?" "It was a complete success, Daimyo Dono," Sarutobi replied, smiling at the reaction of Danzo and his former advisors. "We have exterminated all shinobi belonging to Na and the buildings have been secured. While the report does have the particulars from the leaders of the mission, I cannot tell you more of what I know now, Daimyo Dono, but rest assured that any plans that Na may have had have failed. You see, Danzo, you have failed." Danzo's face changed from quiet to angry in seconds. All his efforts, all those years of work ruined by these fucking shits. It was the fucking Jinchuriki's and Sarutobi's fault that this was happening. But all was not lost. Before his death he would prove to Sarutobi and the feudal idiot that he was not trifled with. If he dies, so will Hiruzen and that damn daimyo. Danzo threw his head backwards, hitting the Anbu behind him, who did not expect the attack. Then in one quick motion he uncovered his Sharingan and drew his katana, which he had hidden in his cane. He did not bother with the Anbu who was behind him, because if he did not act quickly, he would lose his chance to kill either Sarutobi or the feudal lord. Showing agility unthinkable for an old man who needed a cane to walk, Danzo moved out of the reach of Anbu and was promptly on the podium. The shinobi clan leaders all drew their weapons in an attempt to intercept Danzo before he reached the feudal lord after overcoming their surprise. But the sound of a kunai flying through the air followed by a yellow beam that had not been seen for some 12-odd years, and even then some had only read about said technique. There, standing on the podium at the ready, Naruto was waiting with his katana unsheathed to parry Danzo's attack. The old wielder of the Sharingan was surprised as the blonde appeared in a yellow beam, blocking his way to the feudal lord, which made his blood boil even more, especially the smile that adorned the blonde's face. The emergence of Naruto snapped them out of their stupors as both Sarutobi and Akira set themselves back in order to protect the feudal lord. Curse Jinchuriki! Shouted Danzo as he tried to attack the young Namikaze. Anbu? Sarutobi said after a few seconds. You know the procedure. Remove Danzo and the other traitors, ensure that Danzo survives until I have a chance to take care of him. After a loud hi by the assembled Anbu, they dispersed about the room in order to carry out the task at hand. 4 Anbu approached an unconscious Danzo. While the medic in the group attempted to close his wounds so as not to have him die from blood loss while being transported to the cells where he will be partially healed, then secured with seals of all types to prevent any escape along with the captured traitors. The 4 Anbu disappeared with Danzo via Shunshin. Sarutobi then walked to face the rest of those present. Everything that has happened here today is strictly secret. It is forbidden to be disclosed to anyone who was not present at the session until we make an official announcement, said Sarutobi. Then we will have a session with the rest of the board to determine when to execute the traitors and gather your opinions on whether or not to disclose the truth of the Uchiha slaughter. We will also discuss when we will reveal the ancestry of Namikaze Naruto. For now, we have to keep referring to him as Uzumaki. We do not want any rumors in the village about an heir to Minato because they already know him as such. For now though, we can retire. He opened his eye to see where he was. He did not know how long he had been there. He really did not know. He had been defeated despite all his secret preparations for the previous years, he had finally been defeated by his rival, just as Hiruzen defeated him by becoming the Hokage. His dreams of being the most powerful man in the elemental nation's elementary were now destroyed and he was currently in a cell, a dark cell, his hands and feet were chained and he felt excruciating pain throughout his body. Sarutobi was the better man once again. Danzo heard footsteps coming from in front of him. He raised his head to see who it was, however, he could only make out the silhouette of this person. Have you come to finish me off? At Danzo's question Sarutobi stepped inside, looking forward to it. Laughter was the only response the Hokage gave the leader of the traitorous Na. His hour had not yet arrived. Their ordeal would continue. I see you are not in a good mood Danzo Sarutobi said, smiling at the deplorable state of the traitor. I never expected you to ask for your death after only 3 days of torture. 3 days. 3 miserable days and he had already begun begging to be killed. No doubt I had been tortured for at least a week. I'm finished Sarutobi countered Danzo, who was having a hard time talking. It happens Danzo mused a Sandaime Hokage. Everyone thinks that just because I am an old man that I'm no longer fit to be Hokage. I'm no longer at my best, but I'm not the Hokage of Konoha for no reason. Danzo could not help but to smile through the pain. Namikaze was the key to your victory, you did not go back to your old self Danzo said. If that scroll incident had not occurred he would have never have had the guts to do what he should have done years ago. You're right about that Danzo agreed Hiruzen. Naruto-kun was the key to your defeat and the end of your plans. We have all belittled Naruto-kun for years. Many have decided to ignore him and not take a second look, thinking it is a mere waste, especially my Drex consultants, and in the end it was the very same as Naruto-kun that caused my Anbu find Orochimaru's spies and their meetings with some of your pawns. It was Naruto-kun who told us about the building location of Na and how you used your Sharingan to control people. Danzo smiled again. I always knew that Namikaze would play an important role in deciding who was the better man between you and myself, Sarutobi responded Danzo. Had it not been for your concern for the well-being of the boy and my ambition to make him become one of my Na members, we would have killed him long ago. Sarutobi nodded but could not see Danzo. You got that right, said Sarutobi knowing that he would not have ignored the members of Civilian Council's advice and his own advisors and killed him. Amura and Kaharu are fools, and the rest of the Civilian Council are ridiculously idiotic, sighed the leader of Na. The boy will be a force to be feared in the future, and it would have been within our best interest to train him and not go against the order. They are a bunch of morons. You should have chosen your pawns better Danzo, Sarutobi replied. They were the ones who ultimately decided your fate. No need to lecture me, Sarutobi retorted Danzo. I know exactly where my mistakes were. Now, I know you didn't come all the way here just to socialize what you want from me. Of course I did not come here to make a social visit Danzo, Sarutobi said. I only came because I was told that you were already begging, so I came to inform you that this is still just starting, so do not give in so quickly. Ibiki-kun and Anko-chan are not very happy that the other traitors pleaded for their deaths. I was wondering about them Danzo sighed. According to Anko-chan at first it was fun, but then she said that they cried so much that it wasn't funny anymore, said Sarutobi. Then I will have to give them a challenge smiled Danzo weakly. I hope so, said Sarutobi looked at the pathetic man in chains, then we are done here for now Danzo. Hiruzen began to retreat, but Danzo stopped him. Sarutobi I hope that you put Konoha on top. You do not have to worry about that Sarutobi said without looking at Danzo and then left the cell. Well Danzo, Anko said smiling and taking out his senbon. It's time to play with the sweet and tender Anko-chan. You're worse. Trust me, I will. Anko said, taking a finger of the old man and beginning to introduce a senbon below the nail. Danzo clenched his jaw tightly to avoid a groan escaping him, but his face showed that the pain was great. Danzo personally confirmed that Anko's reputation was not invented and was of the needed frame of mind to dole out punishment with the most sadistic torture, similar to other members who also worked with Ibiki. Outside the cell, Sarutobi and Jiraiya watched the actions of Anko without showing any reaction to the various tortures. "I did not expect Danzo to wish you luck," mused Jiraiya. "I did," answered Sarutobi. Because despite all the crimes he committed, Danzo was always a patriot and wanted the best for Konoha. The bad side to him was his methods of achieving those goals. Jiraiya nodded, finding truth in the reasoning of his sensei. "How goes the search for Orochimaru's research bases?" Hiruzen asked. "I managed to introduce a spy into each of the bases we know of," Jiraiya answered. "In a few days I hope to provide information and relevant data regarding the layouts of each of the bases." "Is there a chance of getting caught?" Hiruzen asked, concerned about the success of the attacks on the Sannin trader. "There's always opportunity to discover a spy," continued Jiraiya, "but there is no chance that Orochimaru knows that we are spying on him. None of my spies know who they work for, only what to do and where to send the information." "A job," Jiraiya said. Sarutobi. "Any info on Tsunade?" Jiraiya shook his head. "The last thing I knew was from 2 weeks ago when she was in Kofugai and left heading south," Jiraiya said. "Most likely towards the land of tea." "Tsunade has an old friend there," said Sarutobi. "Let me know she gets the information. It's time for her to come home." "You know you will need more than a squad of Anbu to bring her back," said Jiraiya. "I know," Sarutobi said, "I just want to know where she is, to keep it under the radar. After the operation against Orochimaru, you personally go and bring back." "Me?" asked Jiraiya. "You're the only one who can bring her back," Sarutobi said. "The two of you need to stay in Konoha as Sannin as for much as possible. I know you have to keep up your spy network. Tsunade, however, has no excuse. She will not be easy to convince," Jiraiya said. "Try to convince her that she is needed in order to create a division of shinobi that are medic nin," Sarutobi said. "Our medic nin are not many, and a lot of shinobi are becoming increasingly interested in learning medical jutsu. If you cannot convince her to return, then you may have to drag her back, as I do not really care if you have to bring back tied and slung over your shoulder. I just wanted Tsunade to back here." Sarutobi gave a last look at Danzo being tortured by Anko, who was now placing a few drops of acid and cuts on the palms of the old man, who after he felt the first drop cried aloud from the pain produced by the acid burning through skin and muscles, leaving a small hole. After smiling at the sadistic and almost childlike attitude of Anko, the Sandaime left the area listening to the cries of Danzo. Jiraiya kept on looking for a few minutes longer and noticed via his astute female observation skills the seemingly increased libido of Anko. He saw that she was perspiring and watched as a bead of sweat ran between her breasts after beginning its descent. Anko noticed her observer and looked at the Sannin. "If you keep looking at me like that, you will be next," Anko stated with a smile that was half scary, half sexy. All he could do was nod, because Jiraiya knew that Anko was serious and unconsciously put his hand to his crotch, feeling a pain in the area after remembering when Anko sent one of her snakes to bite his testicles when he was caught by surprise spying at the hot springs in a village in the land of wind. "The feel of the poison burning my testicles is not something I like to experience again," thought Jiraiya as he walked away as quickly as he could past the cells. "Now that I'm sterile." The special Jounin smiled when she saw the Sannin hastily fleeing the site and then returned her attention on the treacherous man in front of her. She then took a kunai heated in a flame for a few minutes and began to make cuts on the soles of Danzo's feet, causing the old man to let out an agonized cry of the pain. Naruto opened his eyes and jumped out of the bed. Today was the day he would meet his sensei and see which genin team he was assigned to. With a smile on his face, he went into the shower and turned the water on as cold as it could possibly get. He gritted his teeth upon receiving a stream of very cold water, but like a good warrior he had to endure it. After about 30 minutes, the blonde came out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist. Nezumi, the Anbu assigned to protect Naruto, could not help but blush at the sight of Naruto, who wore only a towel around his waist and was dripping wet. "Pretty good for a boy who is only 12 years of age," thought an aroused Nezumi, before she mentally cursed herself for thinking about a little boy like that. When Nezumi saw Naruto begin to take off the towel, she coughed to get his attention and dropped the genjutsu that she hid under. "Naruto-san, I better leave the room for a while to give you some needed privacy," the Anbu said. She had long shoulder-length blue hair, was wearing a sleeveless light black vest, a white tank top, a black miniskirt, and had a ninja bag strapped to her thigh. "I will be in the living room." "No need to leave, Nezumi-san, I'm probably only 12, however I bet you would be surprised with what I'm packing," Naruto replied slyly. I'm sure you began, Izumi. However, she caught herself before she said anything further. Instead of replying, she gave him a gentle wave before shutting the door. Naruto began to dry and then took a scroll, which had clothes labeled on it. The day after the board meeting, Nico had been asked to accompany Naruto to buy new clothes because he refused to wear those ridiculous orange jumpsuits. When teamed with Nico in a store, he had bought several pointed pants, sweatshirts, jackets and shoes, all black, navy or white. Nico tried to buy Naruto a pink sleeveless shirt, but Naruto refused flatly. He didn't find a pink garment unmanly or anything like that, but the color of the shirt was the same as Sakura's hair, and he did not want to walk with something that reminded him of the annoying fangirl. Yet I know he was into Sakura at one point, murmured Nico. But rather than that, Naruto may want Hinata or Ino instead of Sakura as a girlfriend from before, but Hinata is something rare and I'll pass. Despite so much change in his favor, Naruto still remained ignorant about the opposite sex and still continued his obsession with Ramen. It seems that some things never change, or at least cannot change overnight. Naruto sported black pants with a black band folded around his shins, black sandals, a white sleeveless shirt and a black jacket without sleeves. His kunai holder was placed on his right leg and the small bag that many shinobi use was placed not on his lower back but on the right side. He pulled a book from his bag, he flipped through the leaves a bit till he came to one with a special stamp and after applying some chakra pulled out his katana, which hung on his back, after which he then replaced the book. He made a mental note to thank after the old pervert Jiraiya for giving the idea to seal the scroll and the katana into a book. No one would think that two valuable items were sealed in a few pages of an ordinary book. It was also much more convenient to have the scroll sealed into the book because he didn't had to walk around holding it, though it cost a huge amount of chakra to seal such a large scroll page. He then put on some gloves with the fingers cut out that Kakashi gave him the other day, and finally he tied the hit I-8 around his head where the Konoha symbol was facing in front. Reviewing his inventory and deeming that he had everything he needed, left his room to meet Nezumi in the living room, who gave an approving look to the blonde. After a nutritious breakfast, without ramen and a slight conversation with Nezumi, the blonde left the apartment. He walked quietly to the academy as he had 30 minutes to get there, and the walk itself only took 20 minutes, providing there was no trouble. While walking, the Jinchuriki felt the stares of the people who were in the streets. The shinobi nodded in greeting him, and he returned the same gesture, however some of the villagers still looked at him with disdain, although most female adolescents watched him with blushes on their faces. As Naruto approached the academy, he saw Shikamaru walking toward the building with his hands in his pockets, head bowed and eyes closed apparently. Is he sleepwalking, thought the blonde, as he heard Shikamaru snoring slightly. A smile appeared on Naruto's face as he walked silently, trying his best not to make noise. When he reached the side of the apparently sleeping Nara, he raised his right arm and opened his palm as wide as possible, while accumulating some chakra into it. He then dropped his hand firmly onto the back of Shikamaru, sending Shadow Handler eating dirt and sprawling around 8 meters away. Shikamaru was having what many people would call a shitty day. First, his mother, Naruyashino, woke him up by throwing a bucket of ice water on him, then she kicked him out the bed. After that, she didn't allow him to eat his breakfast until he cleaned up the mess she had made in his room. When she finally allowed him to eat breakfast, he figured out that she burned his bacon and eggs. Finally, when he went to get coffee, he realized that his mother only had decaffeinated coffee. He resigned himself to sitting down to drink decaffeinated coffee and eat bread with burnt eggs and bacon. Then, as luck would have it, his cousin of 5 years ran into the room to escape her mother and struck the table, which made the cup of coffee fly right onto his crotch, burning his sensitive area, which meant he had to run to the nearest sink to get ice water. Then he had to take a shower again since the coffee got through his jeans. After leaving the shower for the second time that day, he dressed again and entered the dining room to eat something before going to the academy. Unfortunately, his mother had other plans because he was sent to clean up the mess he had created with his cousin, and if he did not, she would give him anything to eat. After 10 minutes of forced labor, from his point of view, he was ready for breakfast when his mother grabbed him by his hair and dragged him toward the door of the house, at which point she then threw him out, screaming that he was going to be late for school. So tired from lack of sleep, not eating breakfast and grumpy for his shitty day, Shikamaru slowly walked to the academy, hoping to pass a place where coffee was sold. On the way to the academy, his eyelids were heavy and his world went black. Luckily, most of the Nara clan could put their body on autopilot and relax while doing something else. So when he felt a huge hit in the back, then his face to the ground and dirt was to his mouth, all he could do was spit dirt out of his mouth, look up and whisper. Shikamaru muttered troublesome, watching the clouds moving slowly in the sky. Well, Shika, Naruto said aloud with more spirit than usual. What's wrong with you, Shikamaru? Naruto asked, seeing the Nara look sad. Shikamaru sighed and began to tell him what had happened to him this morning. Naruto looked at Shikamaru, who was still lying on the floor with a face full of dirt and could not help laughing out loud at the hassles of the young Nara. Unfortunately his bad luck was not over yet because Kiba, Choji and Ino just showed up as the follow to see what the laughter of Naruto was about, as by this time he was laughing so hard he had to hold his stomach. Kiba, seeing Naruto almost out of breath from so much laughter and Shikamaru lying on the floor with a face of annoyance, asked what had happened. Shikamaru then told Kiba the same thing that he had told Naruto. Now Kiba, Ino and Naruto could not hold the laughter, and Choji looked at his friend with pity, though he allowed an occasional laugh to escape from time to time. Shikamaru uttered a troublesome and continued looking up, simply thinking if I were a cloud I would have no worries. Just float through the air wherever the wind takes you, no annoying mothers or friend problems or duties or responsibilities and never having to get up early. Troublesome indeed. Come on Shikamaru-kun, smirked Naruto. I'm inviting you to a free double espresso. That's all you say, with no problems in your life. Shikamaru yawned and said I was falling asleep. You're a bum, Shika, growled Ino. That's not true, Ino-chan. Shikamaru needs to drink coffee to keep him awake, informed Choji. Most members of the Nara clan need several doses of caffeine a day just to stay awake. How come Yoshino-san is not like Shika? Ino asked. Because she is a woman, explained Shikamaru, and all women are problematic. What? Ino asked, raising her fist angrily until she felt an arm wrap around his waist. Come on Ino-chan, leave him alone, Naruto interrupted. We still have time before class begins, so let's buy them from the cafeteria. Hi, Naruto-kun, Ino said cheerfully, blushing because Naruto's arm was still around her waist. Are you okay, Ino? Questioned Naruto. I hope you aren't sick. Kiba, Choji and Shikamaru all rolled their eyes in disbelief at how stupid Naruto is when it comes to girls. Women are just stupid because they get up too early, sighed Shikamaru, to which both Kiba and Choji nodded. Hey Naruto. We'd better get to the cafeteria before we have to inject caffeine into my veins just to keep me awake. Naruto nodded and removed his arm from the Ino's waist, oblivious to the look of disappointment from Ino, who was delayed in following the four genin to the cafeteria. Ino saw the four boys disappear when they turned the corner, having left her behind. Hey, wait for me, you just can't leave a lady by herself. Maybe when you see us leaving you should do the same thing, replied Kiba, causing Ino to get angry and run faster in order to catch up and give the young Inuzuka a good beating. The recent graduates of the academy looked forward to hearing Iruka name the genin teams. The scar-faced Chunin looked out at the collection of new genins and could not help but smile at the memories of the time when he was in the same room, waiting to be told who were to be his teammates and his jounin sensei. When he looked the last rows of the room he noticed that he was missing some students. Does anyone know where the students who have not arrived yet are? Iruka asked and saw Shino adjust his glasses. I saw them enter the cafeteria, answered Shino. They should be walking through the entryway any minute. Iruka nodded, not reacting when the room door opened and Naruto, Kiba, Shikamaru, Ino and Choji all entered. Each with a cup of coffee in hand, with the exception of Choji, who had instead brought a sandwich which was noticeably large. It's about time you guys honored us with your presence, Iruka said sarcastically. The sarcasm wasn't needed, Iruka-sensei, retorted Naruto. I invited them to the cafeteria because Shikamaru did get any coffee at home and needed to have summer his body would have shut down. Iruka nodded, knowing that for the Nara some caffeine is as vital as oxygen. Alright, you can go to take their seats, Iruka said, smiling faintly, but try not come so late again. The five genin nodded and began walking towards the back of the room. On the way Ino saw Sakura sitting next to Sasuke and sticking out her tongue, probably because she was sitting next to the Uchiha. Ino smiled and as she walked past Sakura she bent down to whisper something in her ear. I don't really care about Sasuke-kun, whispered Ino. Anyways, he would never go out with an ugly bitch like you. Sakura became enraged and she stood up to yell at Ino, however she saw Naruto in the last seat sitting next to Hinata and talking animatedly with the Hyuga. Sakura frowned when she saw this and turned her attention to Naruto. Smiling as she turned around to speak to Iruka and tell him that Naruto should not be here since he failed the genin exam. Iruka-sensei, Sakura yelled in her shrill voice. I think there is a student who should not be in here because that particular student did not even graduate. Iruka looked at the pink-haired girl surprised. And who would that be? Iruka asked. Naruto Baka, answered Sakura as she pointed at the sole survivor of the Uzumaki clan who was conversing with Hinata. Iruka nodded and Sakura's smile grew. Sasuke smiled slightly sideways to see if Iruka was going to mess with Sakura by agreeing with her stupid allegation. You're right, Sakura-chan, Iruka agreed. Naruto-kun did not graduate because he was not able to pass the examination that we have conducted in recent years. Get out of here, loser, Sakura mocked while looking at Naruto, who did not know what she was so excited about. If you cannot make a simple bunshin, you have no right to be here. Sakura, Iruka said, getting the attention of the pink-haired girl. Young Naruto did not pass the Genin exam, but still was given the rank of Genin by Hokage-sama. As I said, Naruto was not able to graduate because he was unable to perform the Bushin technique required to pass exam, not because he is a loser, but because Naruto does not have the chakra control needed to do that particular jutsu. Why can't he, sensei? Asked Ami, who had nothing against Naruto. That's a great question, Ami-chan, acknowledged Iruka. Naruto cannot perform a Bunshin because the technique requires only a little bit of chakra, and Naruto probably has the most chakra of any student in the entire academy, and maybe even the entire village. According to my estimate, he at least has twice the chakra capacity of Hokage-sama. The Genin all stared at Iruka with looks of surprise, then they looked towards Naruto, then back to Iruka. Actually, Iruka-sensei, Naruto interrupted, which got everyone's attention. According to Jiji, I have 4 to 5 times the amount of chakra than he has. Thanks for correcting me, Naruto-kun, Iruka dryly replied. As everyone knows, 3 weeks ago someone stole the scroll of forbidden seals. The person who did this was Uzumaki Naruto, who was deceived by the traitor Mizuki into stealing the scroll. Naruto gave the information to Hokage-samas about the betrayal of Mizuki, and Naruto spent 2 weeks training with the scroll of forbidden seals, learning several kinjutsus from the scroll itself. Hokage-sama gave him the rank Genin for his services to the village by providing information on a traitor and showing that the ability learned dangerous kinjutsus from ranging in rank from B to S. All the Genin except Sakura, Sasuke and the others who already knew all this because the blonde had told them, looked with a new awe and respect at the one who was once the dope of the academy. Naruto smiled and raised his hand. That's me. Naruto said, smiling. Sasuke clenched fists in an attempt to contain his building rage because the dobe had that power that rightfully belonged to him as he was an Uchiha and not just a nobody without a name. In his head, he thought that without that power, the dobe would never have humiliated him the way he did the other day, which led him to being attacked from behind and taken to jail. At the time he being taken to jail, he was not worried in the least, but as the days went on and that the board had not to push for his release, he began to worry. He was released yesterday and informed that a percentage of his assets as compensation from the Uchiha clan to Naruto and that he was under house arrest for assaulting a shinobi of Konoha. When he objected to the Hokage's decision, he was almost crushed by the Anbu for insulting and threatening the Hokage. He was also told that if he were to repeat his actions, that they would not be so lenient with him the next time. Sakura was still incredulous of what Iruka said and still did not understand how the council allowed Naruto's promotion. For days she had not seen her uncle, who was a member of civilian council. She had missed him, first because he used to visit every day because they had no children, he treated her almost like his own daughter, and second, because she knew that her uncle hated Naruto and always said he should never graduate, but never knew why her uncle hated the blonde. Sakura was not stupid, despite her obsession with Sasuke, she knew the board were the ones who held the reins in the village. Iruka-sensei, Sakura attempted to say. Not now, Sakura-chan, Iruka said, interrupting her. There is no time for more questions. Now I want it to be clear that Naruto was promoted by the Hokage. If anyone has any complaints, go make an appointment with Sandaime-sama. But I do not recommend you do that because at the moment the Hokage does not want anyone to challenge his decisions, and if you plan to argue with him, it will be considered insubordination and you can be punished. Now I'm going to begin to name the teams. But before the Iruka could begin, he looked at the raised hand of Akiko Shimada. The Redeed raised his hand and responded with a hi to hearing his name. You've been accepted to start your training as a medic, Naruto said, while Akiko yelled Yada, raising his fist. You should be at the hospital in 30 minutes where you will meet whoever will be training you, just show up and the receptionist there will give you further instructions. You may go. Okay, now the Genins will be divided into teams of 3 led by a Jounin, who will be responsible for teaching you from now on until you reach the rank of Chunin. When Iruka-sensei announced that the teams had been chosen, Hinata began pressing her index fingers together as her thoughts raced through her head. I might be on a team with Naruto-kun. I might not be on a team with Naruto-kun. Those thoughts kept repeating as the instructor worked his way down the list. Team 7 sensei will be Hada Kakashi, with the members being Akimichi Chouji, Haruno Sakura, and Abram Shino. Ino looked ecstatic not because she wanted to be on Sasuke's team, but she knew how badly Sakura wanted to be on the Uchiha's team, and smiled once she watched as Sakura's face fell. Team 8 will consist of Hyuga Hinata, Nara Shikamaru and Uchiha Sasuke, under the command of Yuhi Kurenai. Sasuke's expression didn't change, however Shikamaru muttered troublesome, while Sakura glared at Hinata with envious eyes. The 10th and final team will have Inyazuka Kiba, Yamanaka Ino, and Uzumaki Naruto, whose sensei will be Mitarashi Ano. Yes! Exclaimed an overjoyed Ino as she jumped up in the air. I'm on Naruto-chan's squad. I feel sorry for you, Hinata-chan, since you have to be on the almighty Uchiha team, joked Naruto, which caused Hinata to let out a faint chuckle. Taoji, we are going to have to carry our team since we have that weak fangirl on our team, and upset Shino muttered to his fellow teammate. I'm sure she's not as bad, Yusei mused the Akimichi. Teammate, your sensei Yuuhi Kurenai is ready to escort you out the classroom. The lady Iruka called was a tall woman with shoulder-length black hair and red eyes. What? Thought Naruto. How come the gay Uchiha gets a hot sensei? Ino noticed Naruto staring at Sasuke's team with great interest. Naruto-kun, I bet we are going to be way stronger than their team. I agree, complied Naruto. Sasuke, their strongest genin, will be limited with Kurenai-san as his sensei. Why do you say that? Kurenai-san is a Jinjutsu specialist, which something Sasuke excels at since he's an Uchiha and has the Sharingan. You're right, Naruto-kun, no one is going to be able to beat us, chimed in Kiba. Iruka, where in the hell is my damn little fuckers, announced a female with light brown pupil-less eyes. Her violet hair is done up in a short, somewhat spiky ponytail. She sported fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs and an orange miniskirt. That's them right there, Anko-sama muttered a frightened Iruka. What if Naruto finds out Sarutobi lied? Council bashing. And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.